And we have stream. So yeah, man, I was in Vegas recently with a bunch of friends, and the idea got thrown out there like, man, these conversations are so good. It'd be fun to start a podcast like Joe Rogan style or Jocko podcast style or Tom Likas, or, I've been listening to a lot of guys like that. It's just fun for when you're playing video games or driving. So with the good conversations that we have, sometimes you wish you had them recording because they can be pretty badass. So I guess we'll call it episode 1. And I'm Perelli, and we're here with Knightmares.
Yo.
I'm probably going to be giving this intro a lot for people from Vindictus, but how long ago do you think that was that we met on Vindictus?
I think I played for a couple of years before I met you, really.
But that had to have been at least 2 years ago, huh?
I think it was more than 2 years ago.
Really, really cool Korean MMO that not too many people play in the States, but really fun combat, and it's huge over in Korea. So yeah, that's how I met a bunch of awesome people that we are staying in touch with on Discord.
I think the biggest thing about it is that there's nothing like it.
Right. Why is there nothing else that has that kind of like cool combo chain system and awesome graphics and really cool hack and slash?
I think it's just there's nothing that has a mix of that. It's either it has the combat and it's not an MMO. Like Dark Souls would probably be the closest thing, right? There's nothing really similar to that combat in terms of an MMO. All the other MMOs are either third person button mash, press all the buttons on your keyboard in certain sequences to get the highest output. Nothing really for skill related and vulnerability frames.
Right, like I'm encountering this issue with FF14. A bunch of people and I were looking for a game to play, so okay, let's try the free trial, and it turns out to be a lot more like World of Warcraft with all your skills set to the number keys, and it's sort of more about the numbers than actual action.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I didn't try it. I'm not too familiar with Final Fantasy altogether. It's because each game is like its own thing. And every time they come up with a new one, it kind of changes drastically. Like 14, it just randomly went to like an MMO state. And it looks like it'd be a fun game, but I heard it's just the grind is kind of a little bit unbearable by the sounds of it. So
I've got it open right now, and my character's rocking a man-thong and no tunics, so he's definitely looking presentable.
So the opposite of your character in Vindictus, where you're wearing the most armor you could possibly ever wear.
Here, I'll take a screenshot and link it to you in Discord chat right now.
Right.
A further note for the podcast, we're going to use gamer tags because most of us have IRL jobs and we're not trying to be YouTube celebrities at this point. So yeah, we'll just hide behind some anonymity and see if anyone even likes it at all.
Sounds like a plan. I don't think you sent me anything. It was just A.
Yeah, I'm trying to find where it saves the screenshots to.
So have you been playing Vindictus constantly throughout, or is it kind of just a little?
It kind of dropped off, man, because everyone sort of hit the end game, and then three people in the guild. I didn't actually get a chance to, because if a weapon's been boomed, you can't enhance it again. So 3 people in the guild, I think, went for plus 16, and nobody made it.
Like with their non-boomed weapons.
Yeah, only 90s can be enhanced up to like past 12 or something now.
Yeah, if you had a plus 15, 14, 13 beforehand, they stayed, but you can't enhance it. I went to try to enhance my 14 just to see if I could, and it says you can't enhance it. It's not a 90 or unique weapon. It's a rare. It has to be rare quality or something.
Yeah, they're all grandfathered in if they made it past plus 10 or 11 or whatever. But yeah, I forget how high like a level 80 weapon can even get at this point if it's just trying to enhance from nothing now.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm going to have to start basically from scratch because my weapons, even though it's 14, I'm going to have to get back into getting them all up. It looks like the biggest thing I have to do is I have to get to 90 because if I don't get to 90, everything's like there's so much stuff I have to get up to speed on because I can't do any of the new content till I'm 90, and I have stuff to level up in my skills that I have to do when I'm 90, so it's just going to be more of a change getting there. It's off for too long. What was it? was it? I saw the path changes as well. So it's now like you can throw like a spear, a dark spear. That's kind of interesting and like a little bit of changes. And I can't even do my second transformation until 90 anymore.
Yeah, they changed the way that goes, which is not too bad, I don't think.
Yeah, it's a point-based system. Like I basically just maxed out everything on Vela, and is there a point to collecting AP after you have all the AP then? Because the only thing else I see for it is booming weapons. There's no other point for AP.
Yeah, not really, and the AP costs are really nerfed. Sorry that took me so long to find the screenshot, by the way. There we go.
No problem. Because I thought there's an AP shop. I got the impression that's when I was looking up the updates that there's an AP shop to buy stuff.
Oh yeah, there used to be with that Earn Mess guy in the inn.
Who's your character?
Yeah, there's.
Are you a cat?
Yeah. Am I a what?
Are you a cat?
Yeah, there's like cat people in that game. Which actually, my first introduction to FF14 was Final Fantasy Record Keeper. Have you ever heard of that game?
I have not.
It's really good for mobile, Android and iPhone. It has all the characters from Final Fantasy, and it's pretty lo-fi with lots of cool mechanics for A, the fighting, and B, the RNG. So it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah. I was like, remember how we were all talking about going to Black Desert Online when it came out? That was such a downgrade.
Well, Shiza and Math played it, or they still do, but yeah, I never even got into it. Something turned me off about it. I can't remember what.
There's something about it being too realistic. Anything you do in that game is so slow. You have to make travel routes for trade. It's just everything is so specific, and it's just I need like Vindictus is good because it gets you right to the action, right? All you have to do is go on a boat, start up a mission, you're fighting. Usually you'll get right to the boss really quick, and it's just straight away. I actually like how Vindictus is not as open world as most games. I think that's something that was a little bit better overall.
Yeah, dude, it can get a little convoluted if you're just wandering around a big empty map, not entirely sure where to go, and you can't remember any of the stuff.
They'll be like, hey, yo, let's go do this raid over here. Oh yeah, I'll be there in 45 minutes. I have to take my horse. Like,
and by the way, it's an 8-person raid, and we need to gather our whole crew, and it might be hours before they're ready, you know?
Yeah. I noticed as well, there's like achievements now in Vindictus, and there's also solo mode, which you have to be level 90 to even do any of them. It's kind of weird.
I haven't messed around with that, but I have noticed that normal mode is super easy, and I don't even know if there are 8-man raids anymore. Everything seems to be 4-person.
Everything's 4-person except Season 3, it looks like.
Well, I guess Season 3 is where you want to be anyway, because if you can't enhance up to 15 or even past 15, unless it's level 90 gear, that's where you need to be.
Yeah, they added a hero mode to the end of Season 1 and everything, too. And Season 2, I believe, they added hero mode to certain stuff. So I would be down to try that, too. You know, like hero mode Keegan, remember like the glitch that let us do that for a bit?
Well, there's a new Keegan. I don't remember that glitch, but there's like Shining Keegan or something. I don't remember that being there before.
Mm-hmm. I heard there's an Abyssal Arena as well, but it's only 2 days a week or something like that.
It's not even that great. All that you get from that is titles, if I remember correctly.
Which I'll be behind on for a little bit. Yeah, they added hero mode into stuff. Do you know, the achievement thing was cool because I looked at it, and to get a gold medal, you need to you solo raid bosses, basically. You do the solo mode, and if you do the boss without getting hit at all, you get a gold medal. So you have to not get hit the entire boss.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So I think that'd be difficult on the bosses I don't know yet.
I think it's fun, but they're making it more for the filthy casuals. Like, if you really want to be the top, like, isn't Zubine #1 LAN on the server?
Yeah, I think that's for gear, though. I don't think that has to do with gold medals.
But if you ever want to be the best that ever was, you have to get 90 gear, and you have to get it to like 15 or 16, 17, 18, and that's such a long grind.
The thing is, I don't understand that, because he doesn't even have a 15 level 90. He has like a level 14, it looks like. And the level 14 that he has, I think it's just his other gear is so up there. But I was still looking, and it looks like Crescent Moon Announcement's still the best rings. It looks like pirate earrings got phased out. There's a better earrings or something like that. Better brooches and stuff like that. So for this, by the sounds of it, I need armor needs to get all upgraded into level 90 gear, and I need to get memorable, and like a bunch of these other. I'm gonna look up the other stuff and get it all sorted out. But
Yeah, there's some R7 scrolls, I think, but CMAs and stuff are dropping from like regular season 2 bosses on normal mode. It's sick.
I think
And by sick, I mean it's kind of weird.
Yeah, everything's just kind of easier to get by the sounds of it. I haven't played since like basically season 3 just started, and I'm still confused on how orange stuff, like orange materials stuff, how materials work. So from my accounts of it, you need an orange main piece, and the rest can be purples or whatever, and you can swap them out.
Yes, you can, but it takes superior leather and godly ore and a good number of those. It used to be that you could enhance, like there's the key piece, you know, where it's like you get an orange feather or an orange weapon fragment.
Yeah.
So you take the key piece and then you use the components from there. And it used to be you could enhance that orange key piece all the way up to 15, even if it had blue, like common components in it. But I guess now you have to have everything orange if you're going to try to go past plus 12.
Well, like I have a hand piece right now, right? It's an orange piece and it's a hand. And it says maximum enhance 20, right? So can I add a bunch of blue pieces and everything like that and still enhance it to plus 20? Or do I need other stuff for it?
What I was hearing is that you have to put orange pieces in it if you're going to try to go past plus 12, but I can't confirm that.
Okay, but let's say you enhance it up to plus 12. Can you swap out the other pieces in it?
Yeah, you can, but it takes a good amount of materials. It's godly leather, godly ore, and I forget what else, like regular orbs or something like that.
But you could technically enhance something up to, let's say, plus 15, and then swap stuff out to make it even better.
You could, but like I said, I think if you're limited, you might have to swap them in when you get to 12 to try to go to 13. I'm not sure because OCD and I just made a pair of 90 swords. Like he sent me a pair of 90 swords that had an orange key piece in it, but we enhanced it up to 12 and sold it because I lost my nerve.
Like of swapping pieces out, you mean?
We didn't try swapping in pieces because we were like, all right, this key piece is already to 12. It has blue components in it, but we can sell it for 200 mil at this point. So we just listed it there and it went for 200.
So you're basically just enhancing the orange piece. As long as you don't swap out the orange piece, it stays at that enhancement.
Correct. Yeah, you can't swap out the key piece or else you'll lose the enhancement, but you can change the components inside it, the fragments or whatever they are.
Is it a huge grind now to get better and better stuff? Like, let's say you have a 15 weapon and the stats on it aren't as good as another orange piece or whatever like that, or the other pieces. You can't swap out the orange piece because the orange piece can't change, but you can only swap out the other pieces.
Yeah, and I mean, if you've got a plus 15 level 60, you know, like my Jags, they have terrible base balance and crit, but they have the attack speed on them, and you can put good enchants on them like Immoral. So to actually get a good upgrade, you'd have to make the trade-off between speed and just base balance and crit that comes with the 90s.
But with 60s, isn't that a little bit too low?
I mean, they're kind of low, but they can still hang in S3 raids. But with your, what do you have, 14 Infinity Swords?
I have plus 15 Infinity Swords.
Oh, they went 15, that's right.
They were always 15, yeah.
Dude, I remember. Oh, well, what do you have that's 14? Prayers? Chain Blades?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, I remember your 15 swords, that's right.
I think, in my opinion, do you think if I change all my armor up to level 90 with the new enchants, as well as adding the new enchants on the weapons, the prayers and the swords will still stick?
I think they're viable. Like the crit cap is 130, so you can get reasonably close to that with either of those weapons, if I remember right. I don't remember what the base crit is on either.
I think I'm 100 and something on both of them, like 110 or something.
If you use the real good enchants for the weapons and your armor, there's no reason you can't be viable in S3 with those. And the attack speed is really worth something because it's hard to get there even with 90s.
Yeah, because my attack speed's fast because I remember I have a bunch of fast passion and stuff like that. So I boosted up. But I'll have to mess around with it to get the best options. But is it a huge upgrade from 80 to 90 though?
The base balance and crit is way better, and the base attack actually as well. So some of those people who are now ranked number 1 on the server, it's just because of the base stats on their weapons, I'm pretty sure.
So overall, it's viable, but still probably a better option to start going for 90 weapons. As long as you got like a plus 12 or 13.
Yeah, if you really want to go for big dick, I would say you need to start going for 90 weapons and gear.
What are you using on your characters?
A lot of the stuff is left over from the old days. So I have a 15 on my land. There's 1560s. My Herc has a 1570 now, and my Kai has a 15 Abyss. So everybody's got plus 15s that are grandfathered in from the old days.
Oh,
and,
so you don't have any 90s?
I do not have any 90s. Nope, not on my main stuff. Like I boomed everything, or like it's really weird. They even gave you a set of plus 10 90 weapons, but they can't be enhanced anymore just for this returning event or something. I forget why they gave it.
That's lame. They can't enhance it.
Yeah, well, I mean, we got them for free, so what do you expect? But I don't even know if I'm going to try to be competitive anymore, because I think everyone's still kind of bored and playing other MMOs, and the grind to get a really good level 90 weapon is pretty long, but I haven't decided if I'm going to keep working at it.
I think the problem is they keep putting in raid bosses with no actual like interesting missions to do anymore, and they just removed the aspect of the game where you can play with more people. So they're like, oh, we gave you more stuff to do. Try enhancing to 20 now. Like, no thank you.
Yeah, plus 20 came out, but it's even harder to get there because you can't YOLO anymore. That really upsets me, actually.
Yeah, because if you you can YOLO. It's just when you take it back, it's just going to be whatever it was, right?
No, you can't. You can't double boom. I mean, you can YOLO, but
you can YOLO and get it back. So,
well, you get one restore on everything, so you can restore it. But after it's restored the first time, no more enhances.
So, is that why no one has a 16 yet?
I think that's a big part of it. Like if everyone was allowed to perma boom their 15s, I think there would be more 16s out there.
I think that most of the people who have 15s right now have it boomed once or something like that.
So for those of the listeners who have no idea what we're talking about with this, in the game Vindictus, they make a lot of money off people because of the enhancements in the game. Like you get big stat increases for gambling on your weapons. You could pay to enhance up to plus 10 with these enhancement runes that were $4 a pop. So if you failed your enhancement, you lose your $4, but you keep your weapon. If you failed your enhancement past plus 8 and you weren't using a rune, that weapon gets destroyed and you can restore it once. And the god tier weapons in the game used to be plus 15. Like you'd be YOLOing unprotected enhancements all the way up to 15 with really dismal chances of success. I think it was 40% to 12, and then 33. After that it became 33. Yeah, 33%. So now that 16 through 20 is out, I haven't even seen one in the game yet, but it's just ridiculous RNG to get to the God mode weapons, because the speed was better, the base attack was better, they had a nice little glow on them that made them look cooler. So that was what everyone was trying for, including me. And it made it interesting, because if you boomed the weapon once, you could restore it, and then if you boomed it again, perma gone. So you're starting from zero. You'd have to grind the mats to create another weapon, to grind it all the way back up and enhance it again. So it was really a long way to the top, and it made it really interesting.
I think the other thing as well is that when you get to 12, if you were lucky enough to get to 12, it was a 10% chance to get to 15. And now I don't even know the percentages past 15. I heard that it's supposed to be improved to get to 13 now. Maybe 13 is 40% as well now, but everything past that is supposed to be the same. Yeah.
Yeah. What are the odds from 15 to 16? Did you get any of that?
No, there was nothing out there. I think people haven't tested it. I don't think they released that information. I think the reason why people found the other one is from testing, but I don't think it says when you enhance what the percentages. So.
Well, I know Math tried for 16 on a 90 weapon for Karok. I don't remember if it was a Cestus or Pillar. That failed.
He has a 1590?
He does, yeah, and it failed 16. And then Infin had a plus 1590 for Delia, and that failed 16. And who was the other one was a Herc weapon, Floppy Willy, Encrypted Lie's cousin. He had a 1590 for Herc, and that didn't make 16 either. So we're 0 for 3 in the guild.
How'd they all get 15s without booming? They just got lucky.
Yeah, they just RNGs us all the way.
I guess it's like, from what I'm told, as someone being new to season 3, is that it's fairly easy to get a 90 weapon. Is that right?
It's super easy, but it's not easy to get the gold key pieces, at least if the RNG was as like before, because you could get plenty of weapon fragments, but if you used a purple key piece, like the max enhance would be 10, and it's like...
Are gold key pieces rare, like that rare?
Yeah, they're quote unquote legendary. So they used to drop, I don't know, you might see one gold piece every, I don't know, 5 to 10 raids or something like that. One person would get a gold piece. Maybe it was slightly better odds than that. But of those gold pieces, many of them were like hand or pants or something. So it wouldn't even be guaranteed to be weapon. And the weapon gold pieces used to be the good drop. You know, you could sell them for 100 mil or something like that, just the key piece.
Yeah, so it's not Kraken Fang level, though, right?
It's on par with Kraken Fang level for a gold key piece, but it's not even guaranteed to be a weapon, is how it used to be. Now, if they changed it up at this update, I'm not sure.
Where the game is currently at, do you think it's still worth it to get a VIP?
I don't know, man. Good question. I don't think it's worth the shell out, because how many raids do you get to do now? 4 of each or something?
Yeah, it's true. The only thing is I have 3 level 85 characters, so if I get them all to 90, I have extra VIPs on my Bella. I think I have like 7 days from events. But yeah, do you know those summer chests that we used to get that gave us those AP caps and all that extra bonus stuff? That was crazy good.
Yeah, did you need keys to open that, or what was the deal?
Yeah, I still have them from 2011 or 2012.
Oh, and there was what was the god drop in there though?
The god drop was...
They weren't lubbers, but it was something like that.
No, it was lubbers. Yeah, it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, lubber coupons. But I heard it. So what I'm seeing from everyone is that they're all having 3-star, 4-star weapons for 90s. So is it always necessary to craft?
I think it's helpful. I think you can craft them 3 or 4-star. I'm never a fan of crafting in any MMO, so I just go for it and just try to go pure RNG. And then if I got the god enhancement level, then I would use like quality booster coupons from events later on personally.
Because I see a lot of people with 90 weapons that have 3 or 4-star. Is it because they crafted or they waited for an event to update?
There were some events that gave out quality boosters, so I don't know that the crafting is the most important thing in the world. Pretty much the most important thing in the world is your RNGs.
Yeah, so it is the crafting. Like, because personally, I have no crafting on my characters because I never thought it was useful back then. It wasn't. But let's say you had all the pieces. Would you, if you had crafting, would you be able to just go to your crafting menu or whatever, put all the pieces in, and just hope that it becomes 3-star?
Yeah, I think that's the idea. Like and you know what you can actually do now that you bring it up, because OCD has done this. Take shitty key pieces and fragments, craft them using your expertise, and if it comes out 3-star, you can change the key piece out.
Change the key piece. So like take all the crappy pieces and keep getting them until you get a 3-star?
No, you can actually take like the real weapon piece and change that out, I believe, and it keeps its star rating, but it resets the enhance.
Okay, as long as you take the orange piece out.
Yeah, like you swap out a blue weapon, like the key piece, weapon, whatever it's called, weapon.
Oh, I know what you're saying. So basically, the weapon holder, before you put all the stuff in, keep making those until they're 3-star, and then put all the pieces in.
Yeah, you can do that, or you can just RNG your. Let's say you get an orange feather, you can just craft that and hope it comes out 3 or 4-star. But honestly, what's the difference? I mean, you're just a little bit of base attack, right?
Yeah, it's just for min-maxing, I guess, but it's not a huge deal.
Like your crit and balance and all that stuff is dictated by the fragments inside it, not necessarily the star rating. So I think that's small potatoes in the grand scheme of things.
I remember using like 6 lubber coupons on my infinities, trying to get them 4-star. It wasn't worth it now that I see it. There's still 3, I think.
I've got something 5-star, like 2 4-star 15s, and one of them's 5, I believe.
Mm-hmm. It's RNGesus for getting 4 to 5-star. It's crazy.
Well, more important than the star rating on the weapon is actually the rolls on your fragments, because each of those orange fragments, what is there? There's perfect and, I forget the names of them. But there's 4 different components that go into the weapons, and they all have an RNG roll on their stats. So more important than the star rating on the key piece is actually the rolls on your orange fragments when you swap them in.
So for each weapon, do they only have specific fragments that can go in them? So if you're making a, let's say, crossgun, level 90, you have the key piece, and then you have, 4 other pieces or something like that? Are they always going to be, let's say, perfect, balance, whatever the fragments are called? Are they always going to be the same ones, or you have to choose which ones you want to go in?
They're all the same 4, no matter what weapon you're making. There's keen and perfect and a couple, whatever the other 2 are.
And the only difference is that the stats on them that you put in.
Correct. They'll have a better roll if they're orange. And like I said, you might have to have all oranges to go past a certain enhanced level.
That's the thing with all oranges for that. So even if they're all oranges, they can have different stats, right?
Yeah, the oranges have a roll, they have a range minimum and maximum that they're going to be as soon as they drop.
So let's say you went up to 15 on it, and you're like, oh, I found a better orange for my weapon. You can just swap it out even though it's at the, let's say, a 15.
You can swap the components, but you can't swap the key piece, the actual feather, or else it'll reset the enhancement, and then you'll cry.
Yeah. The key piece, does that have a roll?
It does, I believe. I think it has a roll for its base attack, but I don't think it carries any other stats, if I remember right.
Okay, so it's really all about that then. So you just want to have a good base attack key piece.
Really, the most important thing is good enhancement RNG. Everything else is secondary to that, in my opinion.
Because you're like, oh, if you have a 15, you're not going to worry too much about it then, right?
Yeah, if you have a 15, you're not going to care if its base attack could have been 200 better when it dropped.
All about that. So yeah, I think the next step for me is getting to 90, start using enchants on my gear that are better, and swapping out my armor because my armor's outdated. I'm still using pirate.
Yeah, the base stats on the level 90 gear are way better.
I'll have defense on my Vela. That's going to be new for me.
But your stuff is still viable, too. If you use the good rank 7s, if you use memorable echo or whatever they are, the good prefix and suffix, the rank 7s for your armor, I think 80 is still viable.
I just think if I'm going to be changing out all the enhancements, I might as well just get the new armor, right?
Yeah, I can't argue with that. Oh, also, your enhancement level on your armor actually matters now because it adds additional damage to your attacks.
As much as a weapon?
Not as much, but it actually does matter. My plus 15 pirate helmet adds a good amount of additional damage for my regular attacks and smashes. That's another thing that additional damage does. It's for your normal attacks as well.
You kept your 15 helmet?
Yeah, my 15 pirate helmet is main gear on Perelli.
So you never ever changed your pirate gear?
Some of it's level 90 or double enchanted Harriman. There's a couple pieces of plus 12 Harriman or something like that. As long as you have the rank 7 enchants, you're still pretty good in my opinion.
Yeah, I just feel like I'd get a lot more out of the 90. But it's all 3-starred though. That's the only sad part about my pirate.
Again, those enchants add so much. The crit and balance and defense and all the different stuff that they add for you, they're just so much better than the old enchants that used to be out during season 2.
Yes, I need to change those right away. I just don't want to enchant it all and then get my level 90 gear. Because I know that the level 90 armor is just a straight upgrade. So, at least for the armor.
On another note, how's life been, man? What you been up to?
Good. Working 2 jobs now. Just recently started my second one.
Are they both nursing?
Yep. So I was working community in a clinic, and now I'm starting up in the hospital, working on a respirology and short stay unit, and eventually on nephro.
You want to go into nephrology?
Not too much of that, but I don't mind the other ones. It seems like it's a split, so it's all 3. But once you kind of work long enough, then they'll say, do you feel like working there? And if you say no, they're not going to push you.
So I remember, what were you the rock star at? You were doing good, starting some kind of line. You weren't starting central lines, were you?
No. When I was talking to you, I was working when I last talked to you, right?
I think your thing was more like home care, right? Weren't you going to the actual patients' houses and doing different things?
Yep. So my first year was doing that, and then my second year I mostly worked in clinic. So it's the same thing, except people came to me instead. So it was the same job, but I got paid more. Because I was getting over 35 an hour doing the clinic versus the home. So I'm like, sure, I'll take that one. Why not? Now I'll be working more so in the hospital and then casual on the home one. I think I might have been saying IV starts, but I don't know.
I'm telling you, I'm getting pretty damn good at my IV starts with this job that I'm at now. Like, I was good before, but I don't have anyone to help me, and it's a super busy schedule, so I really don't have time to mess up at all.
Are you still doing? Was it X-rays and scans and stuff like that?
I am doing strictly MRI, and I moved out to Santa Fe, New Mexico about a year and a half ago, something like that.
Oh, okay. So, any reason for the move, or is it just because you had a better job there?
I got totally burned out on my last job, honestly, and they were just piling more and more responsibilities on me. Like first shift would have 2 techs and a tech aide, and then by the end of the evening, I would be the last one there. No tech aide, no nothing, and they'd expect me to stay until all the inpatients were done. And it was like ICU cases and stuff too, like really crazy stuff. The hardest cases for ridiculous stuff, uncooperative patients, and all that kind of thing. And it was just they kept piling more and more responsibilities on me, and I already felt it was unbalanced. So at a certain point, I just turned in my resignation and I was just like, yep, I'm going to do whatever I want to for several months. So right as soon as the resignation was complete, like me and my friend Ryan ended up in Spain for a couple weeks and drove through southern France to Monaco. And after coming back from that trip, I went out and did the East Coast and met up with OCD and Simply and a couple other cool beans. And went to Nashville and just did a whole bunch of random stuff before I even started looking for another job.
I remember your Snapchat when you met them. I'm like, oh shit, you actually went out and met people.
Yeah, OCD and Simply, and who else was there? Ben and Joel. I picked up Joel in Pennsylvania, where he lives, and drove him out there to the East Coast because he wouldn't have the money to go otherwise. So it was cool.
I can't picture you meeting Ben though because he doesn't talk much.
It was a really fun trip, man. I could link you the picture. I can dig it up real quick. When we found Ben, like when he finally made it out to New Jersey, he was like struggling to make it from Brooklyn out to New Jersey where we were. And when we finally found him, I had like a little sign that said "encrypted lie" on it, just to hold up like I was picking him up at the airport or something.
Taxi or limo, whoever.
Yeah, he liked it.
Everyone was probably looking at you like, "What the fuck does that mean? What's encrypted? Right. What are you talking about?"
Right.
Oh man, yeah, I'm not a huge traveler. I like staycations.
So there's the sign, and I think I have another picture somewhere of us all gathered around at a pizza place.
Man, yeah, I'm more of a staycation. So actually, Quebec was one of the few places that I went to. So being someone who lives in Canada, Quebec was the first place in Canada I went to that wasn't Ontario. I don't know much French.
No one knows much French, man. Southern France was so terrible to navigate without knowing any French.
So wait, who are we have here? Okay, I see Simply, OCD. I'm assuming the whitest person is Joel.
Yeah, that's Joel on the left.
And then Ben took the picture?
He must have. Yeah, he must be holding it out like selfie style.
He's exactly what I pictured him.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy, man. Not too loud. He's quiet, but it was awesome to meet those guys.
So he's exact same as he is in game. Quiet.
He's exact same as you would picture him. Yep.
Yeah. So if you ever go to a French place like Quebec or France, everyone will say bonjour, and all you have to do is say hello, and they automatically will try to speak English.
Right. Yeah. I busted out all the French I knew when we were in southern France. We stopped in. I know I'm going to butcher the name, like Montpellier and Marseille. And then at that point, that was pretty much our only 2 stops in southern France before we made it to Monaco, which was cool.
Yeah, I'm still able to go to Israel whenever I want, but I don't have the time to do that. I don't feel like I need to either.
Speaking of that, what's the deal? If you've got an Israeli stamp in your passport, there's a bunch of Middle Eastern countries you can't go to anymore after that, correct?
It's not about the passport thing. It's so I can go there for free. There's no really like passport for Israel. It's kind of like you go to your local shul and you talk to the rabbi and they basically sign you up for the birthright because that's kind of like showing them, oh, look, you're real. You are Jewish. So that's like your ticket to go there. At least for the birthright. I know if you just want to go there just for whatever, it's just your passport usual. But
Right, but after you've been there, I think there's some Middle Eastern countries that don't allow you entry anymore.
for tourism, yes, because of war, right?
I'm not sure how it works. That's a whole like political sort of drama that I'm not too familiar with, but I know it exists.
I know you can go to the major cities, just not the other ones. I think the reason is because it's war related, but because obviously you don't want tourists to get hurt. I think the biggest thing for me is that I don't like traveling much unless I'm seeing a concert or there's some specific reason, not for just seeing stuff. There has to be like a reason for me to go there. So like sure, I would go to Europe, but what am I like? I have to go there for a specific reason, not just for travel.
I feel you, but at the same time, I'm kind of the opposite because it's kind of an adventure. You know, it's fun to get out of your comfort zone and see how other people live and check out other architecture. And, you know, there's lots of pretty girls everywhere you go in Europe and a lot of places like that. So that part's fun.
That's your style, though, in a long-term relationship, so I don't.
Oh, man, you're wifed up?
Not wiped up. No,
So
not there yet.
Is it a healthcare girl? Did you meet her at one of your jobs?
No, so I met her on online dating site, but she also happens to be a nursing student, so she's almost done school. And you thought picture the quietest person you've ever talked to, and then like multiply that by like 3.
So she's actually not able to speak.
Basically. No, like obviously she speaks, but it's like extremely extreme. Put it this way: when she first met my friends, we played board game nights. Is a common thing with my friends, nerdy board game nights. And I love trader games because I'm that type of person that, you know, I can read people and I can, you know, basically convince people really easily in these games to make sure that I'm not, you know, who I say I am. And the best thing is what I had her, and she was sitting there. This is the first time she ever met my friends, and we're playing games like this. And people don't know what to assume, if she's bad or good, because she doesn't talk. So I think it was like 6 hours in that night, and she probably said about 4 or 5 words, and most of the time it was yes or no when people were acknowledging or talking to her. That's how quiet they are.
Well, wait. Let's go back to the beginning on this. Which game were you guys playing? I want to Google it.
So one of the games is God, I have to remember this game. I always mix it up with other games because it's mixed up here. Let me look it up. It's King Arthur kind of thing. It's kind of similar to Resistance, but it's not. I think it might be just Camelot, but let me see.
Because to get a feel for that dynamic and just actual games like that are pretty fun. Like when we would do Cards Against Humanity, just the online version, it was really hilarious.
I love the online version. We did that when I played as well.
Did you join in with the Cool Beans doing Cards Against Humanity online?
That was several years ago when we started that.
That was a super good. I think we started that because A, it's fun, and B, it was just a break from raiding. Like we would continually raid night after night after night.
I think this is what happened. We were getting bored of Vindictus. It was a boring state of Vindictus in season 2, when everyone was like, "Oh my god, nothing's come out for like 6 months. We're bored as fuck." We said, okay. We all mentioned like, "Oh, let's try something else." First thing came up was Cards Against Humanity as a break. Played that for like 4 or 5 turns. Then I started up with Natsu playing Warframe. And then I tried to get as many people into that as possible. I remember you joined in, and then everyone's like, "Oh shit, we should try it too." And everyone just started playing it. And then we realized Encrypted and his cousin and everyone else, you know, had some stuff on there, as well as Bear Grylls. They all had stuff on there. And then we started playing Warframe for a bit. I think it just kind of rotated through games there.
We actually went back to that the other day. They changed a bunch of stuff around.
I heard that. I'm trying to remember the name of it. So it's not... I have Shadows over Camelot, and that's a trader game, but that's not that game.
So, well, anyways, in this one where your girlfriend was all quiet, like what was the object of the game? Like what sort of thing is it?
So the object is, have you ever played the board game Resistance?
Nope.
So Resistance, it's almost identical to Resistance. Avalon. There we go. That's the game. So the game's called Avalon. So Resistance is an Avalon. Actually, it's called Avalon because that's the one we have. You start off the game, so you can start. It's really boring with 4 people, so I'd suggest minimum 5 people. You have 5 people up to a total of 10, I think. More people, the better. And everyone gets a card in the beginning, and it shows who you are. You're either a traitor or a good person, right? Fairly simple. And there's 5 rounds. Each round, so it starts on one person as the leader. They get to choose who they want to go in this mission with them. Everyone has to agree on the mission. Majority has to agree, I should say. Has to agree who will go on the mission. If there's traitors in it, they can choose to either success or fail the mission, while everyone's good obviously can only put in succeeds. And you kind of have to determine who the bad traitors are before you lose too many missions and you lose the game. One fail will ruin the entire mission, one mission. So obviously if there's 5 missions, obviously you have to pass 3 of them because you have to pass the majority of them.
So it says there's a player in this game that plays as Merlin. How does that work? Is that true?
So Resistance, I'm going to tell you the difference. Resistance is like the original game. Avalon is like the exact same game but added more. So Resistance is, there's no special characters. In Avalon, there's special characters with bonuses in the game. So in the good characters, there's Merlin, who's always played. Merlin, so when the game starts, everyone closes their eyes. The traitors lift their hands up so they can open their eyes to see who their friends are. Merlin, afterwards, everyone closes their eyes. Merlin gets to know who the traitors are off the bat. So he kind of gets a secret, so he knows who all the bad guys are. But the problem is, on the traitor side, there's a special character called the Assassin. So let's say Merlin's really obvious, and obviously you don't want to say hey, I'm Merlin, I know who everyone is. First of all, some people might not believe you and they'll think, okay, you're just a traitor. It's because you have to convince them all. But you don't want to also do that, because if people think that you know who the bad people are off the bat, the assassin at the end of the game, if you win as the good guys, the assassin has 1 shot, and if he chooses who he thinks is Merlin, the enemy wins. So the traitors win automatically. So they have an easy win if they can find who Merlin is, even if they lost the game. There's also several other different types of characters you can add in. There's ones to make the traitors harder to play, where one of the traitors is Mordred, and they can't know who the other traitors are, or the other traitors don't know who Mordred is. And there's also stuff like another character that knows who can see who Merlin is and kind of defend Merlin from being found out. So there's a lot of different characters you can add in with different roles. But the main strategy of the game is narrowing down who's good and who's bad. So the first mission basically is just kind of a complete guess. Say, okay, we'll just take random people and throw them in the mission and see if it fails. Obviously, usually in the first mission, which has the least amount of people needed to succeed it, everyone will just usually succeed it for the sole purpose of, hey, everyone might assume we're both good in the first mission. So it's kind of just how well can you read your opponents and find those little ticks and turns that someone's lying.
Yeah, I'm gathering that for this girl to have a good poker face really played in her favor, huh?
Yeah, so the thing is, I would say my forte is playing those games. Out of any game, I think traitor games are my forte. Whenever I'm a traitor, even if we're losing for the sole purpose of they just chose the right people and just went with it, if I'm the assassin, I have 100% win rate as traitors because of finding who the bad person was. Who Merlin was, sorry. So I've never not found who Merlin was in my group of friends, and we've played up to 10 people before, so finding who Merlin is can be pretty rough.
Because if you know exactly who Merlin is, then it's an auto win for the bad guy.
It's an auto win, yeah, exactly. But again, I enjoy playing traitors the most, but I've gotten to the point where people assume I'm a traitor at all times because I can play the part really well. Because in my opinion, the best way to play a game like that is to play like you don't know who your character is. Because if you know, let's say you you're playing a traitor, you obviously are trying too hard to not seem like the traitor. And sometimes that gives it away. So it's kind of like play the game as if you looked at your character, you know who you are, but when you're deciding the rounds, just pretend like you're just playing good guy. You're always playing good guy. And then when the time comes, that's when you act.
You know, this reminds me of a game called Town of Salem. Have you ever heard of that?
Yep, I love that game. I have it. It's really fun.
Like we played every now and then the online version of it, and what are there, like 3 mafia people, and then the rest of the townspeople end up like lynching each other, trying to find out who the mafia are.
Yep. Godfather, Framer, and Mafioso, and the serial killer. Yep. So I like that game a lot. The only downside to that game is you can't see people in person, right? That's the biggest part of the game I enjoy. Right.
Yeah. People you're gonna have a hard time seeing through their bluffs online. Yeah.
Yep. So it's literally all about, in Town of Salem, the only thing you have going for you is people writing their notes when they die. So you're expecting people to die in that game and writing their notes. So that game is based off of One Night Werewolf. If you ever heard of One Night Werewolf.
Is that an online game or a board game?
It was originally not really a board game. You can even do it with a deck of cards. So if you look up One Night Werewolf or even Werewolf, you can play it with anyone, and you don't need. So you can even do it with paper, right? As long as they're cut evenly and people know that.
I'm finding it on Board Game Geek, so they're obviously selling the board game version on this site.
Yeah, you can do it with a board game. It's obviously more prepared that way, but as long as you cut even things, like even piece of paper and stuff, and just have it, everyone picks a roll, and you keep that roll with you, and there's still leftover rolls in the middle. Everyone does a roll. So Troublemaker they all go in certain order. So you just read off the order, or there's an app on the phone that is free, and it'll just say it for you. So you're like, Troublemaker, do your roll. Switch 2 characters if you like. So it's kind of a mess strategy for that one. So depending on what role it is, and just if you're a bad role, obviously waiting to see what everyone else says and kind of picking a role that maybe has nothing to do with anyone else, or trapping someone else and saying, oh no, I'm that role and you're lying, like kind of going back and forth.
Look at that picture of the doppelganger on there. It looks like the blue people from Avatar, the Na'vi. Yep,
so that's the game. So the werewolf is obviously the bad one. Everyone that's good wins if the werewolf is the one point out. So at the very, very end of the game, after everyone does their rolls, everyone can talk for as long as they want, and at the very end, everyone votes on who the werewolf is. The Troublemaker in that picture, their role is, so they're all in specific orders. Like, it's not Town of Salem where everyone does any all at once. They're in order. So Troublemaker can switch 2 people's roles at random, not yourself, but you don't get to look at them. You just switch it. You just cause them trouble. Tanner does nothing. It's just a blank roll. Doppelganger gets to copy another person. Robber, you take your role and you swap it with someone else's. So you just steal someone else's role.
But if you're the Tanner, you literally can't do anything? That's kind of a jip.
Well, it's kind of like the Tanner is like the random citizen, right? He's the villager. So he has its own role, right? Because what isn't having a blank role a good idea? Because let's say people want to, let's say that you're actually the Tanner or the villager. If you say you're the villager, how often are people going to trust you? That's like the blank card, right? You're like, oh, I'm just a villager.
Right. And it makes sense if you're going to swap roles too. Like, there needs to be some that are kind of filler.
Well, it's a good thing to have a filler, because in that situation, it's like a safe card, but at the same time, people won't trust it. So it's a hard roll, actually, if you actually get it, because no one's going to trust it. Saying you're the villager is like a get out of jail free card, right?
Right.
You're not going to blend in with anyone else's cards.
Yeah, if I'm the werewolf, who am I going to say I am? I'm not going to fess up to it.
You're not going to say, I'm the seer, and then find out there's 2 other people pretending to be the seer, right? So,
right, yeah, because someone's going to call bullshit.
But if you say they're the villager, everyone's going to be like, well, okay, then we know he didn't do anything, right? He's saying he didn't do anything. Because if you're the seer, they'll be like, okay, what do you see? And if you say 2 cards and one of them's like, oh, I was that card, you're fucked. Or necessarily they're lying, right? So,
right.
They'll want to know what you did. So the thing is, if you're certain roles well, sometimes it's better just to not say anything. They'll be like, "Oh, what are you?" It's like, why should I tell you first? It's not fair. Like it just turns into a game of who's who. So yeah, the seer gets to look at another person's card or two from the middle of the pile. So what I always like doing is I looking at the middle of the pile as a seer because you can see more cards. So one of the things you could do is that you look at two of the cards, and then when people start going around saying who they are, you'll know what's in the middle. So you can kind of catch people and see fake stories. But there's other stuff, like there's a minion in there who's also bad, right? But he tries to get caught. He tries to make them hang him. He's kind of like the jester, right? In Town of Salem.
Yeah. The jester tries to get killed.
If the minion gets killed, the werewolf wins. So
really,
because the werewolf needs to die, so the minion's trying to sacrifice himself so the werewolf doesn't die, right? So he's just basically trying to cause trouble so the werewolf won't die.
Yeah, it's all psychology that gets a little bit lost if you're playing something on the internet like Town of Salem.
Yeah, so I like Town of Salem. It's just, first of all, I will not play Town of Salem without talking to someone on the mic because it feels like I'm just guessing, right? You can't find anything out. Some people don't play the game correctly. They won't do anything, no death notes, nothing, and you're just all relying on luck. Or you know who the bad person is and no one believes you and you're stuck there. Which, if I was playing with people in person, it'd be so much easier to convince. But I wouldn't mind a Town of Salem game with like a bunch of people online, right? That I knew.
Well, I mean, just the whole idea of your board game night is pretty awesome too. Just having a group that you can get together with and play random games like that. That's kind of nice.
Yeah, I have a D&D one as well. So I play Dungeons and Dragons regularly.
Going deep, the old classic.
Well, okay, so I had my own, but I canceled that because people had their own personal issues they need to fix. So currently I'm not done playing one with my real life friends. I think our next session's coming up in August or late July, and we're getting pretty deep. I think we're 7 plays in now, and each time we play it, it's at least 4 or 5, 6 hours. But I got to the point where it's so addicting, right? It's not like a video game because you get so much more exhilaration knowing you can do anything.
We never really got too into it. Like in middle school, me and a couple other guys from the neighborhood tried, but yeah, we never got too far. I think maybe our imaginations weren't that good, or maybe whoever was DMing wasn't on top of it. I don't remember.
It's really on the one you go through. There's so many versions. I've played through 3, like D&D 3, 3.5, 4, Pathfinder, lots of different types of D&D games because there's so many different versions. And you find out which is the best. You might have not played the best one. There's also pre-made campaigns where the person DMing can find the campaign or whatever and basically read up on it and then add in their own flavor to it.
That's kind of smart, like to have some kind of guidelines instead of having to make everything up on your own.
Well, the best thing is that if you're making up your own, you can't make a world easily, right? But if you get a campaign, you can get a campaign that's in the same world, play through that entire campaign, and then get another campaign in that world because that world's famous around the world. So everyone will still know cities and stuff like that. You don't have to explain everything, and they're so confused wherever they go. And sometimes you can have groups where they don't want direction. They'll be like, oh, there's a murder here. And one person will be like, oh, I don't care about that. I'm going to go over here and I'm shit. And the other one's like, no, I want to go in the bar and I want to pick up ladies. Like... You just do whatever you want, right? That's the fun part of it. It's like in Vindictus, right? A lot of people didn't even play the game. They just it was fashion Dictus, right?
Right, fashion, and then just playing around on the megaphones.
Yeah, like I did that all the time. It was hilarious with Martin. Like we just pretended to be like fucking weird couple and shit. It was amazing.
The cutest couple NA, that's right.
Oh, it was so good back then. I'll miss those times. But he won't be coming back because his character's gone. He sold it.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, his character was sold in season 2. I think he sold it to Killer.
I think he found the right time to cash out, honestly.
Yeah. So yeah, he ended up selling that, and then he was playing Final Fantasy for a little bit, got way bored of that. Now he's just playing Overwatch all the time.
Yeah, I've never tried Overwatch, but I'm hearing lots of good things about it. It's just kind of like, I'm wondering if it's okay for a noob to start, like just getting your ass kicked at first.
It's definitely okay. What I would recommend. I haven't played it for a while. I played it the day it came out, and then like for quite a bit, and then I stopped because it wasn't updated for a while, and it's kind of felt like if it's like if you play a MOBA, it kind of feels repetitive because you're playing the same type of game over and over again.
Right, it's going to be the same kind of thing, but all the characters have their own roles, correct?
Yeah, it's very, very, very team-based, right? But I would recommend, they added this in, which is might actually get me back into it. They added in elimination modes and stuff like that, so it's kind of like you can play one-on-one. You can actually just do straight up, just one-on-one, 3-on-3, or 5-on-5, 2-on-2s. And there's also modes like you play 5-on-5, but you don't choose your character, and it gives you a character when you start, and you have to like do 5-on-5 deathmatch like that, like team deathmatch, like elimination, like kind of like a Call of Duty search and destroy, where you have one life and you gotta wait until the round's done.
It's kind of funny. When I went to go do my taxes this year, the guy who prepared them for me, I went to H&R Block. The guy who prepared my taxes was trying to sell me on Overwatch. We talked about Diablo 3, and then he was trying to sell me like, dude, Overwatch is so awesome, and he went on for a long time about it, but I just never took the plunge, you know?
It was like $20 or $30 at a time. I think it was worth it to get it, even just to play it. That's the cheapest usually a Blizzard game will ever be.
Did you ever play Destiny, speaking of FPS games?
I never played Destiny. I played like a tiny bit, but originally was not interested in it at all because it was very... the story was kind of gross, for lack of better words. But I plan on getting Destiny 2 because it looks kind of cool.
I was going to say, like, I played a little bit on the PS4 version at my friend's house, and it was awesome, man. Like, the gear was cool looking. The action was like Halo based, you know, because it's a Bungie game, and I'm definitely interested in Destiny 2 when it comes out.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it on PC, and it's Blizzard's releasing it too, right, on the Blizzard app. So.
And when is that supposed to be? Let me Google it.
Yeah, I'm not too sure on the time, but I've been playing Heroes of the Storm instead a lot recently too. I just think Blizzard knows how to make good games. That's just what I've surmised, is that they know how to make them really fun and lasting. Because the only game I never really got into was Heroes of the Storm from them. And it was good. Like, I don't want to say like it's better than Dota and League stuff, but it's completely different type of MOBA game because there's so many changes.
Yeah, dude, wait, back to Destiny 2 for a second. It says it's by Bungie and Activision, but it is on Battle.net. What's going on with that?
They have a deal, so they're selling it through Battle.net as well, and you can play it through the app there, I think. It'll run through their app.
They're doing early access beta at some point, coming up soon, like later this month.
I'm not a huge fan of playing in betas. I feel like I'm not really gaining anything until the game comes out, and I know a lot of things change.
Right. Well, isn't that the whole thing? There was a big uproar on all social media regarding some of these games that everyone pre-ordered, and they turned out to be garbage.
Well, that's for pre-orders, right? I'm just saying betas in general. I don't really have an interest playing many betas because there's not, like, you can't save your stuff usually, and it's just like you're just going to start over. It's like, okay, you know the game, you can go through it faster in the beginning, but I just like playing it once I have the whole game, right?
Yeah, a re-roll on your gear would pretty much suck.
Yeah, and you don't really get to go too far. It's just kind of like testing, right? I don't want to be a tester. I wouldn't like being a game tester. I like playing games that I know would be good. What other ones? There was a few other games I'm looking forward to. Lost Ark, I'm still waiting on. It looks fucking incredible. Do you know that's in that's basically out in Korea?
Lost Ark. Let's take a look.
That was incredible if you look up the original trailer for it. So, do you know Diablo? It's like a Diablo. Okay, so it's like a Diablo MMO. It's like that same kind of view as Diablo.
Oh, man. Yeah, it looks a little bit similar to Diablo 3. And as anyone who's talked to me knows, I was pretty disappointed in that.
So this game, even though it's out in Korea, is basically the Diablo that everyone always wanted. And as an MMO. It has world bosses and everything. Like raids, all that fun stuff. And the combat is exceptional. If you look up I'll show you the trailer, like the original trailer from way back. And it is beautiful.
Is this a free-to-play?
I believe it's going to have microtransactions.
I am a little bit partial to the free-to-play, because at least you get a nice preview of the game before you decide if you want to go balls deep.
Lost Ark. Let me find you like the amazing trailer.
If it's not amazing, I don't want to see that shit.
No, like the trailer that sold me on it originally. That's the one I'm trying to find you here.
Yeah, no rush. I'm looking at the page on MMORPG.com.
Okay, here's your thing. You might not be able to watch it now. It's 8 minutes. But it is worth the entire 8 minutes to watch it.
And you're a member of my Discord now, right? Yeah, it looks like you're joined to Tanks Express.
Is this the Cool Beans one?
No, this is my personal one that I made.
Okay. I'm still racking up Steam games at 530, but I really want to get back into Vindy.
It's episode 1 of the podcast right now, but if this ever gets big enough and people actually care, I'll figure out a way to add video to it.
Yeah. Well, there's programs you can do for podcasts, right? So you just have to pay for a program, and then it basically sets it up with cams and everything. So
it's got to be worth it. There's got to be enough people who find it entertaining.
Yeah, there's no point putting money into it or anything like that until it's something you want to keep doing. So.
But I'm checking out the trailer right now. It looks pretty good. Nice scenery that they start with.
Yeah, the actual combat is ridiculous. Like, the way I would describe it is that it's its own genre similar to Vindictus, right? Because I don't see anything like Vindictus, and I don't see anything like this game that looks as good as this.
So yeah, they showed a couple shots of scenery, and then a bunch of enemies kind of coming through a portal, and now there's a hero character with a huge Buster Sword looking thing slashing up some enemies. Yeah, I can dig it. This looks cool.
So that's like looking like the Herc type character.
Right, he's exactly like a Herc. Like we got a swordsman. He charges in like with his shoulder, bumping into the enemies, and then doing big old charged shots with his sword.
But as you can see, it already looks like a better version of Diablo, in my opinion.
Yeah, this looks fantastic. This looks like what Diablo 3 should have been from what I'm seeing in the trailer.
Yeah. Like even in the
really cool.
section.
Like really cool finishing moves too. Like he just jumped up in the air and shot out a huge fireball looking thing that had tentacles on it.
That sounds wrong from a...
Yeah, I figure it out, but it still looked awesome. Looks like we got a summoner too.
I think it was chains instead of tentacles.
Oh.
Who just said what? Darth Ulick?
Yeah, I've still got the notifications on for this channel. Like anytime anyone posts anything, I see a text notification. You can turn that off in the settings.
Okay. But yeah, you can see the ultimate for her.
Is this out already? What's going on with the release?
So it's out in Korea, I believe. It's going to be making its way to North America.
Looks like we got a character who uses a gun also, like a shotgun type character.
I thought that would be your type of character.
I like it, man. Yeah, I like everything except hardcore mages usually.
I like his he shoots in every direction kind of thing. The little ultimate there. She also got the fist lady here.
Yeah, I'm just getting to that right now. So for the listeners out there, we're watching the trailer for Lost Ark. It looks like a Korean overhead kind of hack and slash game.
And it's open world.
Really, open world, but Diablo 2 style combat?
Yep. And then in a little bit, you're going to be able to see the bosses as well as how movement goes and stuff like that.
And there's mounts. Check it out.
Mm-hmm. So that's actually a class as well. A rider class, I think. It's like a tamer.
Oh, not only are there mounts like a dragon, but now we got a guy who's in a mech. So we've got mechanics that Diablo never had. So we're 5 minutes into the trailer now, and it looks like they're starting to preview, what is this, multiplayer?
Yep, so this is showing multiplayer as well as you can progress through the story with the team. As you can see, you can kind of like, the landscape moves as you're doing it too. Like you can actually change the landscape a little bit.
Looks like there's some skills down on the hotbar.
Yep, but the thing is, if you look how many skills there are compared to a normal game. MMO, right? I like when it's not spamming my whole entire interface with my whole keyboard for using 30 different skills in a certain order. Right?
Well, I mean, you can see that they copied some mechanics and layout from Diablo. Like, look at the health bar and the mana bar. That's pretty similar.
But in terms of comparing it, it has like the same amount of, I'd say, hotkeys as Vindictus. So there's really not too many.
Right. With Final Fantasy 14, you've got 2 rows of hotkeys from 1 to 0. So that's a lot of hotkeys to go through.
Lots of cooldowns. Yeah, look at the background with the swords. Oof.
Yeah, we are seeing some badass scenery too. Like the graphics are really good.
And it's not even a cinematic. That's what makes me like want this. Is that's not even a cinematic. That looks that good in normal gameplay. You're seeing only gameplay. And then you're going to see a bunch of bosses coming up here. So they're going to show a lot of gameplay for that.
Oh, they're like, oh, check that out. No way. So the game so far has been hack and slashing a bunch of, small to medium-sized enemies. But now we got a big old devil-looking boss climbing up a tower coming after the player characters.
So this is like a kind of like a momentum boss. You got to keep going as fast as you can.
Right, if he's pulling the tower down around you.
Yeah, you got to kind of run up like a spiral, and then you fight him at the top.
Now we've got some sort of ice dragon or something.
Yep. And we've got a nice warrior here. A demon.
Yeah, this looks really promising, man. But who knows if any American audiences will play it, It feels like everyone's all about their Team Fortress 2 and Overwatch and League of Legends,
Well, I'd say it's the same about BDO. Black Desert Online did extremely well. Extremely well.
With the American audiences? Like, do people stream, like, they're big audiences for people on Twitch playing BDO?
Still, yeah. BDO, I would not say BDO is a strong game to watch. Right? No MMO is amazing to watch. I think some people watch WoW just for the sake of PvP, but no one wants to watch you level up in it, right?
I mean, for my money, I'd rather be playing it than watching someone stream, but I kind of feel that way about all games.
Yeah, I will watch games like Hearthstone and stuff like that. Some things that like, I can play it and watch it, or I can learn something from it. But in something like BDO, it's more of, I feel it's so boring to watch for that type of game. For an MMO, it's really boring.
Yeah, especially something if you have to wander around a huge world waiting for something to happen. No, I'm good, man. I'd rather watch paint dry.
Oh, and BDO, that has no like teleports and stuff to like get to places fast, waypoints. It's literally, if you want to go across the map, it's going to take you an hour by horse.
And Shiza was linking a bunch of pictures of his horses, though. I mean, to be fair, some of those horses looked kind of cool. Like, I guess he was breeding them and making them look cooler, something like that.
If you breed horses in that game, you get them higher level. So you get tiers. So you get like a tier 1 horse. You get 2 tier 1 horses, male and female. You breed them. You have a chance of getting tier 2, 3, or 4. Then kind of like get higher and higher tiers, make them faster and faster. But it's just, again, do you know how time consuming this game? It's so realistic to the point where like, dude, I don't want to spend that long going from a tier 1 to a tier 6 horse in like 2 months.
Plus, he was naming them all after Ben, so there might have been a little bit of sexual tension with all those horses named Ben.
Oh yeah, well, I don't even think it's sexual tension. I think it's sexual release at that point. There's no tension anymore.
Yeah, he's gone too deep. He spent hours and hours breeding horses all named Ben.
Oh, he went deep.
Oh yeah, remember I had that idea to make that metal song called CC No Re. I need to go in and actually record that, because I've got some recording software that works halfway decent now.
Oh yeah, and then I just need to give you some...
Oh yeah. When I get it all laid down, like I even had like a chord progression and I knew what guitar parts were going to be in it. So, and then after that, I just need you to record some awesome metal screams for me and I could patch it right in.
Dude, does she even play Vindictus anymore?
No, she hasn't played Vindy for a long time.
She even includes?
Yeah, I think everybody's still in the guild, but it's kind of on hiatus. OCD's been playing Blade and Soul, and he's got a lot of followers on his YouTube and Twitch streams now from streaming Blade and Soul.
OCD?
Yeah, like he's got a Patreon going and a lot of followers. He dressed up like his destroyer because he got 1,000 followers, so then he started getting into costumes and stuff.
Oh, nice.
Because the stream looks really good. Like he's got a nice cam set up and good audio and everything, and like a layout that has when people follow him and stuff. So his stream's going really well.
I remember I got up to max level when Blade and Soul came out, and then I just got extremely bored of the endgame content.
I don't think I ever told you, but I played that when Warlock came out. I made one and I got him all the way to level 50. But yeah, again, not my cup of tea.
I got a max level assassin, and I stopped. I played the whole game from start to finish with Martin and his girlfriend.
Well, there's expansions coming out. There is actually going to be a Gunmaster that they're going to release at some point. I don't know if I'll give it another look.
The problem with that game is that the combat and PvP were extremely fun, but that was it for me. Like, it was a game that I only found entertaining in PvP. I don't know. The PvP was absolutely amazing. That's
the main storyline quest, though, it had a lot of just talk to this person and gather 3 of these, like, dingleberries and turn them in. And oh man, that was a fun quest.
It was a typical MMO storyline, right?
And it's very similar to FF14, man. Like if the raids don't get pretty good pretty soon, it's going to be like, I can't do these quests. They're just like working a minimum wage job. They're so tedious.
So that was the only thing that I found Guild Wars 2 was exceptional at, is that it differed from the original. Go pick up 20 of this and you're good, right? Guild Wars 2 was you go around the world and you'll see stuff happening. You'll see a boss just appear in the world and you go attack it. That's your quest, right? You had a main storyline, but all the side stuff was just going around and going to certain areas, and that was it.
So wait, how are the quests different again?
So the main storyline had, like, it was almost always solo. It was kind of like Vindictus, where you just went into like a solo dungeon and kind of did it there. But let's say you're traveling around the area. Each area had like 30 spots, 20 skill points in this area and this, and you just go around to each area, and you have to basically go to these certain areas, and you'll see open world combat just happening. You join in, participate, and you get a random quest done that you normally didn't have. It was a completely open world side quests. I found that really good.
Yeah, that sounds kind of interesting. Just randomly run in and complete them with other players.
Yeah, because I found everyone's using the same format, right? For these MMOs, like, you start off, you get shown the cool stuff, and then you start off level 1, and then you go collect, 5 orbs, bring it back, kill some rats, 10 rats, hand it in. That's what it is.
All right, you're not wrong, man. It's just kind of funny because that formulaic kind of thing kills me.
You killed 10 rats. Now you're level 2. Now go collect me 15 pieces of bones. Okay, that's good. You're now level 3. You've now learned how to attack with your right mouse button now that you're level 3. Okay, you got that. Okay, do a couple more of those quests. Get to level 5. You've now unlocked your first ability. You press 1 every now and then, and you shoot 2 arrows instead of 1. So that type of shenanigans, in my opinion.
I'm posting this Lost Ark trailer out in the main channel just for the other guys to see.
Nice. It says OCD streaming salty from PvP.
Yeah, I was over in the Cool Beans channel, and he was streaming PvP earlier, and he gets salty when he's in the middle of when anything goes wrong, like when he loses or anything.
Blade and Soul.
Yeah, he's streaming Blade and Soul.
Is the PvP still mediocre in Vindictus?
Yeah, I think it's still just about the same. I haven't done it for a long time, but there's a Discord channel just for Vindictus PvP on East, so people ping all the time asking for people to join there.
I'm nowhere near the items to do that right now anyways.
Yeah, I think high-level gear comes into it. I remember Orisha was really good, too. Something about her invul frames made her really OP.
I didn't think she had too many invul frames. I guess her block and everything, right? But, I'll have to look into that. I'm so behind on all that. Everyone was just leveling her up to 80 and 85, right? So
I don't think I did PvP after Delia came out, too. It'd be interesting to see how that goes.
There's just no benefit to playing it, right? Except for getting, like, the accessory.
Just for the fun of, having really good fights, pretty much.
Yeah, I enjoyed playing it a lot. I remember that I was the one kill that one Herc on my Vela.
That was super fun, man. I had a lot of good times on Vindictus all around, from the PvP to the raiding to gambling to all that stuff. It was great.
My favorite moment was when OCD came and said, "Yo, no one's this Herc's doing this thing where he's pressing spacebar and you can't hurt him." And I told him I could beat him on my Vela without playing my Herc, right? And I did, because all I did was run around, and when he ran out of stamina, I hit him. And I killed him.
Right, and who was that guy? He changed his name later on. What was his IGN?
I figured it was like Jin Intama or something. I don't know. I thought it was something.
He invented it. Like, he was the first Herc to use that strategy where you just spacebar until the other guy gets frustrated, and then you hit him or something.
But I beat him. There was a loophole. The loophole was that there was like a very, very, very thin line where you could hit them. And if you hit them any other time, then they spark the invulnerability frame for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, you'd proc frames if you hit him outside of that little window. Plus, he's using up a small amount of stamina every time he spacebarred.
Yeah, as long as you keep going, you're going to keep using up stamina. I think they removed that, though. From what I heard, they fixed his PvP.
Yeah, I think they probably nerfed it. I mean, it got a little bit old when people would just sit there and spam spacebar.
I also heard that Herc's new weapon's kind of ass.
Oh, yeah, it's a gun or something like that.
It's a gun blade. So he attacks with a blade on his other hand and has a gun on his right or something.
I would be fairly interested to give that a shot when that comes out.
I heard it's not too good, from what I heard from the Korea. I still watched Junyup. I don't know if you remember Junyup.
Yeah, he would play on the Korean server, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he streams every day. So he actually plays every day and does like a wheel where he basically makes people vote or like options, and then he'll do whatever the option suggests. So he'll put in no hits on this boss or something.
Well, what's badass about the Korean audience is there are tons of people who play that game. Like, it's one of the top games in South Korea, obviously, not North Korea, but like, they have a huge audience for it too. So their website is really active. There's tons of fan art up there. Like, every time a teaser trailer will come out, people nut their pants for it. And it would have been nice if that kind of audience was there for the North American game, because it's a really good game, and it just had crappy support and not a huge audience, and the servers couldn't even handle that many people, even if they wanted.
I don't think Vindictus has a way of coming back unless it fixes something for North America. I wish it was as popular as it was in Korea. It would make the game so much more fun.
Yeah, and there would have been audience for streamers. Like, the PvP streaming would have been cool. Like, the high level raids would have been awesome. Oh, they came out with a really high level raid too that I don't even some people have done it, but it's a super try hard raid, like some kind of black angel with this huge like centipede sort of boss that starts with her.
So that apparently is, so I'm watching Jenny play. Apparently it's like a really, really, you have to have a lot of high gear for that.
Yeah, it's stupid hard. We got wiped, like, we got party wiped really bad with a bunch of cool beans with high level gear. Like, we just didn't know the mechanics well enough, and your stats need to be top tier to even have a chance.
I saw Junyup doing it, and they do it. It looks like a lot of people die that aren't Fiona. It looks like Fiona has the biggest advantage because they're the hardest to kill. I don't know. I plan on getting to the point where I can do that again, because the most fun part for Vindictus for me, by far, was learning a new boss and getting to the point where I could solo or duo it. I know this boss apparently is not solo or duoable, because it takes so much health to kill it, right? So I know that's not an option, but I know that it's even hard for even having an 8-man group for it. So I'm looking forward to that.
That was our experience with it. Like, everyone in the 8-man group had to have top level gear, and everybody needed to know the mechanics as if they were needing to solo it, you know?
Yeah. Like, I know that Vindictus wasn't a very popular game because I think even at the highest point when I used to stream, I had 50 viewers for it at one point, and that's when like a new boss came out and I tried to solo it like day one. And that was like when I think the maximum amount of Vindictus players were ever on. It was like, I don't know how many were playing then, but it was just the game had like, tons of votes up and everything. I think it's when I look at like Vindictus on Twitch right now for English people, English language, I guess, because there's a lot of Korean ones for it. There's maybe like 4 or 5 people watching. It might just be that person's friends, right? There's not a lot of views going towards that.
Yeah. And for anyone to make it in streaming or to build a following or make any money at it or whatever, there has to be a good audience for the game they're playing.
Yep. And so like stuff like Cryptarian, who plays Hearthstone, that has 40,000 people watching him every time. It has to be a game that basically can't just become shit. And Nexon has a habit of making it shit very fast.
Speaking of games, though, this Lost Ark. Well, guess when the open beta starts?
For North America?
It's closed beta starting in August. It says
for North America.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Oh, sweet. The problem with that again, it's closed beta. I hate betas, dude. But remember, betas will take a long time to become the real thing because what was it? I don't know. BDO wasn't like the beta like 8 months or something before the actual game released.
Oh no, this is beta in Korea, it looks like too. So this isn't even coming to North America for a long time.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's the thing is BDO, I think it took a year once the game was out to get to North America like full. So expect it maybe a year and a half. But yeah, it's gonna take a while. But still, that's something to look forward to because it looks so. The thing is, they've been making this game since 2014, right? 2013 even. This game has been planned out so well that I don't want it to be like a Duke Nukem, right? The 10 years in the making, or Diablo 3, 10 years in the making, complete shit.
Oh god, yeah, that was so disappointing, man.
That's the thing, but I have a lot of confidence it's going to be good.
I'm looking at BDO's website right now too. It looks kind of interesting. Seemed like they wanted to implement a lot of different stuff, like the open world thing. They played that up.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen some screenshots from Shiza and Math playing it.
For BDO?
Yeah.
I would consider playing it, but I heard to have fun, you need to spend money as well, right?
On one hand, you want something that you can be a filthy casual at also, because a lot of us are working jobs that have a lot of hours involved. But on the other hand, you want something where the end game is really, really top tier, and you have to take a lot of pride in getting to it.
And BDO is, you're going to lose your life over it kind of thing. It's not a game that you can just play for a couple hours, in my opinion.
Do you remember, what's that space combat game that was really, really involved? Oh man, have you ever heard of that?
Space combat game?
There's like a space civilization space combat game that was out. Oh my god, the name's escaping me right now.
Like an MMO?
Yeah, it's an MMO, like a space civilization combat type of game.
Like fighting in ships?
Yeah, I think it was ship combat.
Oh, no, are you talking about the big one that people spent tons of money on and stuff?
Yes.
Eve Online.
Yeah, it's Eve Online. That's what I just thought of when you talked about games where you might have to devote your whole life to it. Like, from the sound of it, they were saying that you'd have to be on call 24/7. Like, if your clan would get into a conflict in the middle of the night, you'd have to jump up and be in on it with your really expensive ships and all that.
Yeah, not a fan of that. Like, Vindictus is a nice give and go game. You can play long if you want. You don't have to play long if you don't want, right?
And there was one post on Reddit that talked about the night where like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of ships died in one conflict.
Yeah, not my type of game for that one. I'll tell you that. I think Blizzard's working on another game as well. That's something I'm interested in to make that. Also, Nintendo Switch. I want one for some of the upcoming games they're going to be coming out with. Have you heard about their upcoming games from E3?
No, anything amazing?
So obviously Super Mario Odyssey. I love Super Mario, and it's a first person, like not first person, but like a first party Super Mario game, right? So that's always a good one. They're coming out with a Metroid Prime 4, original Metroid Primes.
That would be cool. Although I never really played the hell out of the first Metroid Primes for GameCube. They seemed okay.
Yeah, so there's Metroid Prime 1, 2, and 3. I played them. They're really good. They are coming out with a first-party Pokemon game for the Nintendo Switch coming out, I think, in 2018.
The new Zelda game that everyone's playing, is that on the Switch too, or is that up for a different system?
It's on the Switch and the Wii U.
Yeah.
They're making Skyrim for it too, which is kind of weird. But the only thing I'd like for that is that it's on the go, right? You can literally just play it anywhere. That's the coolest thing about it, is that you can just take the Switch with you and just like play it on a bus or something.
So, and it still has the same graphics that it had before?
So it's, if I remember correctly, it's 720p when you're playing it in handheld mode, and it's 1080p when you're playing it in TV. If I'm not mistaken.
That's a pretty cool feature though, that you can take it mobile like that.
Yeah, and all you have to do to plug it in for your TV is just slot it into the device, into the one that connects to your TV.
What does a Nintendo Switch run you?
What does it run?
Like, how much is it?
I'm in Canadian money here, so let's see. Nintendo Switch. Nintendo.com. Here we go. $400.
And what kind of backwards compatibility does it have? Can it play the older Nintendo games or just Switch games?
So it can play Switch games, but they're adding on like SN, the store to download them or whatever. Can't play the Wii and Wii U games because it uses portable. It uses cartridges, its own cartridges. So they don't use discs for the Switch. It uses cartridges, kind of like the Vita and all that, but their own version of it.
So the save data is on the cartridges or inside the Switch, do you think?
So if you get it on a cartridge, it's mostly on the cartridge. But if on my opinion, so the Switch only comes with 32 gigabytes. So you need to buy a mini SD card to be able to hold more stuff. Yeah. You can buy a controller separately. You can take it with. You can get Mario Party 8 Deluxe is one of the most common ones on the Switch right now that you can get. And there's a game that you probably like a lot called ARMS. It's like a fighting game, but not for people who really love fighting games. It's like a kind of like a punching boxing type thing, but your arms extend like elastic bands like across the map, and you try to like fight people like that. And you get weird.
I'm on the website right now. Let's see what it's all about.
For ARMS?
Yeah, for ARMS. It's pretty cartoony looking. I don't know how I feel about that.
It is, but like I don't mind that because it's. But then again, like Zelda's cartoony, right? So
this is true.
It looks really fun.
They're running such laggy scripts on Nintendo's main page now too. That's crazy.
But yeah, they're also coming out with a Kirby game, Yoshi game. Like they're just kind of pulling out all the stuff here. They're bringing Pokken Tournament back for the Switch. So the Pokemon fighting game. That'll be interesting.
The best feature about that is just being able to take your Switch on an airplane and play that for a while, you know?
Yeah, that's the thing. Any game you get on the Switch is portable, right? So it's like, why have a DS or Vita or anything else like that when you can have something that's so easily portable? And then as soon as you get somewhere with a TV, you can just plug it into the TV. And it charges it while you're on the TV, by the way. It's like, oh shit, my battery's running right. Let me just play it on the TV. The other thing as well, the battery, I think only lasts, if you're playing like, let's say Zelda, the battery will last like 4 hours. So it's not super long. But where are you going to be that's 4 hours long that you won't have access to a plug?
Some international flights, but hopefully if you're going transatlantic or transpacific, they'd have a plug for you.
Yeah, most places will have a plug. But like even so, like you're not always going to be on airplanes all the time. But In most
Right.
places, like let's say, oh, I'm just going to play it while I'm heading over to my friend's house. I'm going to walk over and I'm just going to play it walking over. You're not going to be 4 hours with it, right? And you just plug it in when you get there.
That's how you end up walking in front of a car or tripping, like trying to play Breath of the Wild and you're walking and at the same time.
Never.
That actually happens, man. People walk out in traffic because they're texting.
Nothing's going to be as bad as Pokemon Go when people are going into like the worst spots.
Have you seen some of those pictures where like, oh, a Charizard was spotted in Central Park and there's just hordes of people running over to it?
Yep. The worst was people tried to enter like Area 51 or something to try to catch like a Pokemon.
Really? Pokemon spawned in Area 51?
Pokemon, they had like the White House as like a stop or whatever. So people were like trying to like go over to those areas where they can't access.
That's not very smart.
Nope. They put it into people's backyards. People are trying to go into other people's backyards to get Pokemon.
And then like they get held up at gunpoint for trespassing. And it's like, no, man, sorry, I'm just trying to get your Pokemon.
I think there was a lot of conflict because people were entering stores and not buying anything because they went in there just to catch a Pokemon and leave. So stores will just getting crowded with no one doing anything in it. It just got kind of hectic, and obviously it fell down low, right? Not a lot of people are still playing it.
That's the future of gaming, man. Pretty soon there'll be VR headsets and people are going to be wandering around in public doing stuff like that.
Dude, I want a Sword Art Online type of situation where everyone just enters.
Can you imagine? Yeah, we're heading towards the Matrix where you can plug in and do Sword Art Online for an MMO.
Like we're at that point where we're looking at something, but we're still in, like we know that we're in real life. I want to know that I'm inside the game and I just fall asleep. I think that would cause too many fire hazards and stuff, right? Like you're falling asleep, something happens in your house, you're just basically asleep in the game, right?
I think it would cause bigger problems than that, too. Like even more people than they are now would just completely disconnect from life and just play those MMOs instead of regular life.
The streamers would mostly take that.
Just like, can you imagine like if you were in the game and you can taste the food and you can feel like the sensation of swinging the sword and you feel pain when you're in battle, or just you're seeing the crazy wilderness when you're looking around? It would be just so much more interesting than regular life in a lot of ways.
Do you know Log Horizon? Do you ever watch that one?
What is it?
Log Horizon.
Google Foo. Let me take a look.
So Log Horizon is kind of like Sword Art Online, but it's even more in depth. It's like a similar thing. They get trapped in the game. They show how like they level up skills, so everything tastes like crap in the game. It tastes like crap when you buy it from a vendor. But you interact with the NPCs, and the NPCs actually start building personalities. And you can actually start trading and upping your own skills. So there's no skill bar, basically. It's you actually practicing at it a lot, and you actually start making better food, and it tastes better. Like it's actually like a more crazier version of Sword Art Online, and it was really good. It had 2 seasons, I think, so far. So
yeah, for the uninitiated, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page for Log Horizon, and it looks like it started as a manga, and then what did it go to an anime after that?
2 seasons anime. I think it was 50 episodes.
The premise being something to the effect of players being inside an MMO that's very realistic.
And in that one, it's not like you die and you're gone forever. That one, you die and you respawn. But they start finding out that respawning has consequences. You lose a part of you, right? You can lose memories. You can lose other things. So it has consequences like that.
That's an mechanic.
Yeah. So it's just they went more in depth than Sword Art. Sword Art was really cool because it started that genre, but it also started like a really cool fight sequences. And Log Horizon just went above that, and it made it like more in depth, better strategy wise, right? It's not like I'm just gonna be able to one shot everything. It's like groups and everything like that. It's just very organized anime to begin with.
Yeah, actually, it looks a little bit interesting, man. And that's the future of gaming right there. We're gonna be heading that direction. I guarantee it.
I guarantee if someone comes up with a virtual reality system like that or game like that actually does that, they're going to be rich for the rest of their lives easily. Everyone's going to jump on board.
Yeah, of course. Well, that application will have a lot more uses than just playing games too, like being able to interface with people's brains. That will be useful for all kinds of reasons.
Oh yeah, I think it'll be much more involved. I think the only thing is that everyone's gonna have that initial fear of being trapped in it, like the game.
Well, it's not a new idea either. I mean, look at the Matrix or even the old philosophical stories that the Matrix came from.
Yeah, and people are gonna be there's gonna be a lot of paranoia, like, oh my god, are they gonna tamper with my brain?
Well, some of that fear is warranted. I mean, just look at Google censoring certain search results and Facebook collecting data on everyone's personal lives. Like that data could be abused.
Mm-hmm. Like
But
even
again, that's the way it's going, regardless.
yeah, like even on Facebook right now, if you're on Facebook and you have your date of birth on there, you'll get advertisements targeted towards you from your personal information. I don't know if you knew that.
I remember actually, even if you put a search for something, or even like if you mention a band name, like we were making fun of Chumbawamba one time, and I posted on my friend's Facebook wall something to that effect, and pretty soon there were ads appearing that mentioned Chumbawamba and like ska music.
My birthday is in July, and I'll get advertisements because I won't post anything, but it's on my profile in my section. Advertisements regarding, oh, I'm badass. My birthday's in Cancer. And it's a shirt company. And I'm
Right,
like,
so
what
they're
the fuck?
advertising T-shirts to you based on your birth month.
Yeah, and so you'll also get. So I like a lot of bands on Facebook, and they'll show me bands because you like this. Here's an ad for this.
I actually saw on YouTube recently too. They were trying to sell tickets for Avenged Sevenfold at a venue near me in Albuquerque.
Yep. If you like certain stuff, they'll target advertise you.
Yeah, the targeted advertising is going to be a huge thing, and it already is a huge thing. But it's just going to keep going that direction. We're going to be more and more plugged into the internet.
What was I trying to say? Do you remember Futurama? I don't know if you ever watched it.
Just the early seasons, yeah.
I don't know if the early season had it. Do you remember the targeted advertisement when he did it and whatever he thought with it was the eyeglass or whatever. They put it's the new iPhone or whatever, but they put it in your eye or whatever. And every time you wanted to use it, you'd say eyeglass or whatever. But every now and then it would pop out a hologram right in front of your face of what you were thinking and try to give an advertisement for it.
Wasn't that in something else too? Wasn't that in another big? Maybe it was the Tom Cruise movie.
Minority Report.
Yeah, Minority Report had holographic advertisements that were specifically for you, I believe, too, or so that concept was there.
I just remember it most from Futurama. Whenever he wants them, I remember he was talking about wanting to get more muscles and stuff, so just show him steroids or something to give him fake muscles, and it's how did it know that? And it's finding out how to know something or advertise that. Back and forth.
Also, that reminds me, do you have Netflix?
Yes.
Have you seen the show called Black Mirror?
Nope, but my friend watched it and he said it's pretty good.
It's worth checking out, man.
I heard it plays backwards. You ought to watch it goes from third season to first season or something.
Yeah, that is just a quirk of Netflix. But whenever these episodes are kind of similar to the old Twilight Zone show because they kind of show dystopian futures and the way life could be further on and just various little social commentary things. And they're all standalone too, so one character won't appear in the next episode. They're all their own standalone stories.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. That's why my dad watched it as well because he likes that stuff.
Yeah, they're not linear and they're not related with the characters at all too. So you can watch one and it's its own self-contained just sort of idea, it's a pretty cool show.
I think one of the other things as well is Westworld is something my friend told me to look up. I don't know if you've heard of Westworld. It's a show where it's episodic as well, but you enter people's dream worlds. So some people's dreams are very horror-like. Some people like certain things like that. So you can enter a romantic one world because it's a technology is giving people their ideal world. And some people they're a psychopath. That's going to give them a psychopath world where they can do whatever they want, which is really bad. But it's just sequenced like that in the episodes where you it's futuristic and everyone has their own ideal outcome.
It looks like it's It's a episode show. Yeah, 20 episodes. It's rated really highly on IMDb. 9 out of 10.
It's supposedly like one of the highest rated shows ever. So
it is rated really high. Does Netflix have this?
Yep. No, Netflix doesn't have it. Sadly. And there's another show that I watched all of so far, and it's absolutely crazy, is Mr. Robot. Amazing show. Like, I absolutely love it. I was hooked on it. I think I watched both seasons within a week, and each episode's an hour long. I was just hooked.
Let's see how that's rated. That's 8.6 out of 10 on IMDb. Looks pretty cool.
Yep. There's also Christian Slater's in it. Famous actor as well.
A young programmer working as a cybersecurity engineer by day and a vigilante hacker by night.
He's a crazy genius on the computer. And the thing is, he's mentally unstable at the same time. So
that's a recurring theme, too. Have you ever seen the new release of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo?
No, I've never gotten into the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
I never read the books, but I'm a big fan of Daniel Craig, so I watched it, and it was a great movie. The re-release, obviously.
I'm assuming there was mentally unstable aspects to it.
He works with a girl who's she's mentally unstable, really good with computers, and she in her spare time, or I guess it might be her regular job, she's kind of like a private detective or someone who does online research.
That sounds like it's a common thing.
Yeah, it's cool, and it takes place in Sweden, I believe.
That'd be a nice place.
But it's not like it's subtitled. Everyone speaks English in the movie. Yeah, it's worth checking out. I liked it.
The thing I like about Mr. Robot the most, though, is that it's very realistic in terms of it really pushes you into his mindset, and it messes with you watching it. So it puts you in situations that will make you feel very, very uncomfortable. And you can see why he's super uncomfortable. You can kind of get used to the fact that nothing seems right. So
okay. Wait, slow down. I have to start making a list of all these shows that I need to watch now.
Well, I haven't seen Westworld. That's on my list, but I've been told it's really good. But Mr. Robot is absolutely insane. It'll change your outlook on a lot of things as well. Because it comes from the actual aspect of, so you're following this one guy around, right? And he's mentally unstable. So everything you see, you don't know if it's real or not, because you only see what he sees. You only know what he knows. So if you're watching him talk to someone and you're like, is this real? I don't know if it's real, because does he think it's real? He talks to you personally, to the camera. He says, viewer watching this. And he literally talks to you while you're watching it. He treats you, the viewer, as a friend. So it's kind of like a weird, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a weird dialogue going on in there where he talks to you, and then he talks to people, and then he talks to you. When he talks to himself, you're the other voice in his head, is that it's trying to get across.
Does he ever have mental problems to the point where what he perceives to be happening is different than what's actually happening?
Do you want me to spoil things for you?
Nah. But how do I watch this? What's the easiest way to check it out?
I watched it online, so streams.
Do you have to do it with questionable legal means? It looks like $2 on Amazon Video.
Yeah, if you're gonna watch it on streams, obviously that's not the legalist way to do it, but in Canada it's not too bad.
Right.
It went on TV, but I didn't watch it when I was on TV, right? The third season will come out eventually, but usually it's not on times I can watch.
Well, cool. Yeah, it's nice to have some things on the to watch list. Also, did you ever watch the anime called Death Note?
Oh yeah, they're making a series for it on Netflix too. I know.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be a series or just one standalone movie.
It's a movie. Sorry. I liked the first season of Death Note. The second season was ass. It was one of the first animes I watched back in the day. Besides, Dragon Ball Z and all those stuff. But
things got weird in the second half of the story arc, don't you think?
It was absolute crap. after I don't want to spoil anything for people that don't know it, but it was absolute crap.
Spoiler alert for Death Note. At this point, the viewers out there should have seen Death Note.
Okay, all's well. After L died, it sucked. Right?
You just ruined it for everyone.
They could have muted it. After L died, it sucked, and it sucked, and it sucked, and it never got any better, and it just went downhill, and then the ending sucked. So,
yeah, no, you're right. I agree.
There's plenty other animes that are the exact same as Death Note, but better. It's hard to believe, but I'm huge into anime. Not a weeaboo at all. I don't collect anything. I just find the stories really good for certain ones. But stuff like Code Geass, same type of main character. Genius main character, basically has an ego complex where he basically wants to be the best. Doesn't care about expendable people, right? Can use up people, throw them out like trash. Way better than Death Note. 50 times better than Death Note. Ending was one of the best endings. Amazing. Absolutely incredible. Makes Death Note seem like shit, right?
What's the name of that? Type it to me in private message just so I can get the spelling right.
Okay. It is probably in the top 10 rated animes on every too. Okay. There's that, and then there's one on Netflix actually. That's actually kind of similar as well, with a genius main character. He's not necessarily bad or good. The one on Netflix, he is good character. That's what I'm trying to say. The Code Geass one and Death Note, they're kind of like, you can't say they're good or bad. They're kind of moral ambiguity there. But in the one on Netflix is called what's it called again?
Yeah, if you got good stuff, recommendations for Netflix, I'm all about that because I have that.
Yeah, the ones that I watch for the anime, I just go on anime, just watch it. If you want to pay for it, Crunchyroll has it. If you want to pay, it's kind of like Netflix for anime. My roommate has Crunchyroll. I just watch it on sites that have it anyways. Let me just go on here. If I have it on here, it's going to be on here. There's a lot of... I'm just giving you ones that are similar to Death Note because that seems like the ones you like, but there's a lot of other ones that are my favorites, but I just won't go into those right now.
Well, the moral ambiguity of Death Note was amazing, along with, the two characters trying to outwit each other and just how ruthless Light was. That's definitely amazing.
If you want that, Code Geass, 50 times better.
I'm putting it on the to-do list, man. You've given me 4 things already.
It's in every single possible way, Code Geass is better. And it's the exact same type of main character. So you're going to enjoy it for sure. Without a doubt. If you don't enjoy it, then I don't know what you're doing.
Then give me my money back.
I'm trying to find the other one on here that's on Netflix. I just don't want to turn on my Netflix. I could have done it, but I don't want to. I will find it. It's just looking through the list here.
In the meantime, I'll throw out a recommendation for a Netflix movie that people probably haven't seen called These Final Hours. It takes place in Perth, Australia, and kind of like an apocalyptic scenario. There's something to the effect of there's a meteor that has already hit Earth, and the fireball is going to take X number of hours before it gets to Australia. So it's kind of a glimpse into how humanity might act in that sort of situation where they know they're going to die. And really badass main character too, and he comes to some moral realizations and has to face some tough questions as their time winds down. So it's worth checking out.
Ooh, all these ones, I've seen way too many animes. I mix up all the.
Have you ever been to Japan before?
No.
I've seen the airport, and it's kind of funny. There were lots of shops selling manga there, and
it's a good place to do it, I guess. Most people want to go there for that.
It lived up to the stereotypes with just some of the shops and stuff that they had there. Actually, the first time I had a double Big Mac was in Tokyo's Narita Airport. It's a Big Mac made of 2 beef patties and then a piece of bread separating those patties and another 2 beef patties underneath it.
Ugh.
No, it was amazing. Like by the time you cross the Pacific and you're so hungry for some food, like the biggest, juiciest Big Mac ever.
Another anime now that I'm thinking about it that's not on Netflix though. It's okay. Picture this: a mix of Death Note and Sword Art. Does that make sense?
I don't know, man. Like those two premises don't seem to go together very well. Like on the other hand, people are afraid of dying, and in the MMO, yeah, you're just playing a game.
So this one is the relevance to Sword Art. They're dragged into a game world. That's the only relevance, really. So they're dragged into a game world, and in this world, everything is by games. So if you want property, you got to play them in a game. If you win the game, you win it. There's no fighting allowed. There's laws in this world. No one can physically do any harm to anyone. And what's said is done. So if you win, you get whatever you want. You agree on it before the game. So you say, I'm going to challenge you to rock, paper, scissors. If I win rock, paper, scissors, you have to give me your house. You get their house if you win. You lose whatever you promised. So the main character is similar to a genius main character from Death Note or it's Code Geass, all those type of things, where him and his sister are geniuses at games. They are absolute manipulative geniuses, and they can get anything, and they just don't lose. It's one of those type of ones.
So wait, the premise is they're wagering real life things based on how they perform in the game?
Yep, and you can wager your life. You can basically say, like, you own me if I lose. You can do whatever you want to me. Like, you can basically wager that too.
That's a cool premise. What's the name of that one?
Is it No Game, No Life? Yeah, No Game, No Life. This is the recommendation from how it's similar to Death Note. Death Note turned comedy. Main characters from both series are intelligent and confident in their abilities, playing mind games with anyone who faces them. In Death Note, MC uses the power of the Death Note to create a new world, while No Game, No Life, the main character and his sibling are transported to a fantasy world where they play a game. Where they play games, it should be. Both series involve life and death situations. One is dark, while other comedy. So the only thing with No Game, No Life, it does have the main character is a genius with his sister, and it's kind of like it's the typical anime where it has its moments where girls love him, and there's fan service crap in it. So there is that in that one. I'm still trying to find the other one that's on Netflix here. I don't know why it's not popping up as the most common with it. I could turn on Netflix and fix it so easily, but I don't want to.
We're all dying to know what that other one is, though. Come on.
It's on Canada Netflix, but it's not showing me all the animes on it. Maybe it'll be on here. Monster, Code Geass. Keeps coming up with Code Geass as the other one. Canada Netflix anime list. Can you just show me all of them? Stop telling me the best. All. Oh, this might have it. It's showing me all of them. Again, it only shows me a little bit of them. I don't know why it does that.
No Game, No Life. Let's check out the Wikipedia on that right now.
Yeah, they're making a movie on it actually right now too.
Are any of these recommendations dubbed in English, or are they all subtitled?
Code Geass has English sub and English dub. What other ones I tell you? No Game, No Life. I think it's only English sub right now.
Despite the fact that people badmouth the English voice acting, for some reason I like the English dub better.
I'll tell you this, Code Geass, out of all of them, it's not that bad for English dub. I usually will always do sub. I would say there's only 2 or 3 animes that would watch dub. Code Geass is tolerable. Ghost in the Shell is actually, I think, is better in dub. It's like the only one that's better in dub, in my opinion.
There's a live action Ghost in the Shell featuring Scarlett Johansson, right?
Yeah, don't bother.
Yeah, I heard bad things about it, and there's been lots of criticism about whitewashing, substituting Caucasian actors and actresses in for roles that should be Asian.
Yep. I'm not going to argue there. I love like Scarlett Johansson is awesome, but yeah, no thanks for that one. See, I'm looking up the entire thing here, and it's not showing me all of them because I see it on mine. This one might show it though, because I'm on a site now that looks like it's going to show. If I can find them. Oh, there it is. I found it. I'll type it out for you. It's Alb Noah 0. So the one I just linked to you there, the main character is in all ways a good character. He's just a genius. He's not manipulative. He's just that genius level of thought process where he's, let's say the enemy has extremely better equipment, everything, they're better than everything, but he still wins because he's a strategist. It just is crazy smart. It is very different from Code Geass and Death Note in all that way because he's not a manipulative person, all that. But what I'd recommend is just Code Geass straight out the bat is just a complete upgrade.
Is this an anime that has mechs in it? Is it like a space combat sort of thing?
It does, yeah. So it does have it. So I will say this, Code Geass does have mechs as well. But personally, I don't like mechs. I don't like mech anime at all. I was never a fan of Gundam. But Code Geass...
Like, probably depends on the series, though. Like, some Gundams had their moments.
But I would say that Code Geass, even though it has mechs, it's not super focused. I'm not, like, when I'm watching it, I'm not super focused on mechs, even though the mech combat is, like, a common thing, and it does revolve quite a bit around it. It is absolutely insane. Like, I'll give you a synopsis of Code Geass. The main character is the son of a royal lineage, right? But what he hates the world as it is, and he basically wants to change it, kind of similar to Death Note. And he will do anything in his means of changing the world, betraying anyone, doesn't matter who. He gets a power. So Death Note gets the power of the Death Note, right? What does Code Geass get? He gets a deal with a girl that gives him the power in his eyes that he can say one thing to someone and they have to do it. So he has the eyes of Geass, or whatever you want to call it. He gets to say whatever he wants. So if he says, hey, you're going to go make me a sandwich, that person will have to make them a sandwich. 100%.
That kind of seems like a waste of that power, man. There's plenty of sandwich shops out there.
Yep, but the problem is you only can use it on someone once. You can never use the power on them again.
Ooh, and it also says it's a mecha type setting. So are they in the future or what?
Yes. So it is a mecha type setting. The animation quality is still really, 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 really good. Even though I don't like mech animes, this one just up there. So this is probably my second or third favorite anime.
They're also telling me that there was a game out for the PS2 related to this game.
I've not looked into that stuff.
Or related to this anime, rather.
Like, there's also games for Bleach, right? And I love Bleach, but they're, the games were not as good usually. So
yeah, if they're just looking to capitalize on an anime, it could be trash.
Most times, it's like a Vita game or something. Here, this guy's doing Let's Play. Let me look at what it looks like real fast. It looks like, dude, the battle looks like Advance Wars. Oh, dude, it's a DS game.
Advance Wars, really lo-fi overhead strategy?
It looks like it's similar to that, just looking at the DS one. But, yeah, so it's like in my top 3. My favorite of all time, I don't know if it would be to you, I loved it, was Steins Gate. It's, I think, in the top 2 anime as well. Let me look what it's rated now. Look at the top rated anime here. I want to see if mine's in the top still. I watched it the day it came out. It's actually rated number 4 in the world.
Steins Gate, a Japanese sci-fi visual novel, and they made games?
It's like a visual novel games. Like the visual novel are like games.
Is this a show or is this just
it's a show? No, it's a show. There's 25 episodes. So the thing with this is that Code Geass, Death Note, and all that, they get you in on the first episode, like first couple episodes, you're kind of in on it, right? And you're like kind of like, oh, this is good. I'm gonna keep watching it. The thing with Steins Gate is that it's not going to capture you on the first couple episodes. It's going to take a little bit to kick in, and then once it kicks in, it's in full gear, and you're like, oh my god, this has changed my life.
But once Steins Gate kicks in, then it's life changing.
Yes, it is my favorite anime. But I'll tell you this: people have tried to show it to. They'll watch like 2 episodes and be like, it's not for me. I'm like, that's the problem. Is you have to like get through a little bit, and then you'll be hooked. So it starts off as a comedy, but turns into fucked up shit.
Well, I'm definitely guilty of, if I'm not hooked right away, sometimes I'll give up on stuff. But yeah,
that's why I always tell people if they're gonna watch it, you gotta give it. So I would say this: halfway through the anime, so when you get like the halfway mark, I think it's exactly episode 12 or 13, the anime flips. So it turns into what you thought was like, oh, this is like kind of like a normal, like happy-go-lucky one. It turns it upside down, and shit hits the fan, and you're just basically you're dumbfounded. And you're like, what the fuck just happened? Everything I know is a lie. Like the premise behind it, you'll probably like, what the fuck is this premise? Like if I read the synopsis to you, you're literally gonna be like, what the fuck is the meaning of this? Steins Gate here. Steins Gate. Synopsis. Like it's not going to make much sense. You're going to be like, this, why would this be a good anime? Why is it rated top 5 in the world? Top 4. It used to be top 2. I think it dropped down just from other stuff coming out. But here's the synopsis here. The self-proclaimed mad scientist Rintaro Okabe rents out a room in a rickety old building where he indulges himself in his hobby of inventing prospective future gadgets with fellow lab members. Mayuri, his airheaded childhood friend, and Hashida, a perverted hacker named Daru. The 3 pass the time by tinkering with their most promising contraption yet, a machine dubbed the phone microwave, which performs the strange function of morphing bananas into piles of green gel. Though miraculous in itself, the phenomenon doesn't provide anything concrete in Okabe's research for scientific breakthrough. That is, until the lab members are spurred into action by a string of mysterious happenings before stumbling upon an unexpected success. The phone microwave can send emails to the past, altering the flow of history. A little bit fucking weird, but...
That is a little weird. So they start tinkering with the past? That's kind of when things get interesting?
Yes, so basically they start tinkering. Everyone wants to change a little bit of things, right? This person wants to change this person wants to change that. I wonder if what would happen if I didn't do this. So they start changing things. The only thing is that every time they change something, the main character remembers. He's the only one that remembers what's changed. Everyone else, it's like, it's always been that way. So he has the Steins Gate. So he has the Steins, what he calls his power is the Steins Gate. He's the only one in the entire world that can remember what has changed and what all the timelines were. So let's say you said, oh, I wonder what it'd be like if I never played Vindictus. So the text message will be sent to you in the past or your parents saying never allow them to play Vindictus, right? So right as that text message is sent, you get like a vibration. Everyone, so for you, every single, like you would never have known Vindictus. You followed that advice, you'd never know it, right? You just live life, it was completely different, but the main character knows. He's the only one in the world that knew that you played Vindictus and know everything about that, and you seem like you're, estranged from everyone else for having known that.
So he's got knowledge of how both potential timelines play out?
Exactly. So you're thinking like, oh, but it's like a comedy. The show's a comedy up until about, halfway through the anime, and then shit starts to add up and things start to go wrong. And it hits, like, I've never seen shit hit the fan as hard as this anime did. Like, you pretend any movie you've seen where you're just like, oh my god, that just blew my mind. Like, how did things like turn like that? This anime was another level. Like, I literally like put my hand on my forehead. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I was like, do I go to the next episode? Like, I don't know. I was just boggled and I didn't know what to do.
That's
And
like an interesting premise. Yeah, like if it's funny at first and then all his deeds and everything catch up to him.
Well, yeah, his personality is like so unfitting. Well, it's fitting for him, but it's so unfitting for how the events turn later on. You'll see, like, I would say you're kind of a sarcastic person, right? Like if you talk to people, you're kind of a joker. You don't really just go all serious unless you're in job mode, I would assume.
It's sort of a Jekyll and Hyde thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So this character is kind of the same thing. Like he's a joker. Like pretends to have another personality. Like he pretends like he's like some mad scientist trying to like, make some inventions and all that. But when like shit hits the fan, he's obviously going to turn that off and be his normal self. So he's kind of like that. He has, his own group of friends, living in a crappy apartment, just messing around, doing their own thing. And then, they come across this and it works. So like, what the fuck? We have something that works. And everyone wants a little bit changed. So he starts doing that. But then, there's other people in the world that know something's going wrong. And other people don't like what's happening. Yeah, it just escalates very fast.
Yeah, that would be kind of similar to Death Note too. You know how light gets noticed by other people, so someone knows that there's some tomfoolery going around. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
But this is like another level of shit. So Death Note, it kind of builds. This one is everything's fine halfway through the anime, and then it just flips, and you go, what? And then it's so smart. This anime is a genius anime.
So yeah, for the listeners, this one's called Steins Gate, Steins, with a semicolon, then Gate, Gate.
It is a hard one to get into, but if you can push through it, you might even say, "Oh, I like the beginning. Like, I like the comedy. I like it." It's not necessarily a fast anime. Like if we look at the reviews here, As Noted is one of the top animes ever made. One of the famous quotes actually is someone's review. No one knows what the future holds. That's why its potential is infinite. Yep. So I just want to see what people say in terms of getting into it. Oh, here we go. This person's review. It's in, I think it's the third or fourth one. How an anime can change your life. You must be thinking, is he completely mad? You must be asking. If you think the above, it's probably because you simply didn't watch Steins Gate. This review will cover my reasons why you should watch Steins Gate for those who still did not. It was also hype Steins Gate through the roof for those who already watched it and want another review about the show. Yeah, it completely changed my views about anime and even life in general. One word, hype. That's a good one, I guess. Yeah, it has like little things. Like the main character, one of the people are quoting, Dr. Pepper. It's an intellectual drink for the chosen ones. Like, random shit. There's a lot of dick jokes in it too.
All the more reason to tune in.
Yeah, it's literally a funny anime that turns into like a serious, over the top, blow your mind. It's one of those like if you want to relate to an anime situation. If you've ever watched a movie where you watch the whole movie and it's like a suspenseful thriller and you think you know the outcome, and at the very end it just, oh my god, I never would have expected that. This anime will do that halfway through, and it will turn everything upside down. What you thought you were watching the entire time turns into an anime. It's basically two animes. You watch the first half, wow, everything's so cool, all these things are happening. Second half hits, and you're like, what did I just watch? I don't know what I watched.
I like that, man. If it's anything like what I'm imagining, it's all comedy and setup for a long time, and then all the setup that they've been doing comes to fruition, and it gets all dramatic halfway through.
Yep, and that's exactly what it is. And the first episode's going to confuse the crap out of you, and it usually does for most people, but it's just, I don't even know if this has a bad rating. Like, it has 9.15 on my anime list, and that's like the main anime site for reviews. Oh, it has a bad rating here. Let's see what this guy wrote for bad. It's the only bad rating I see. He wrote it at a 3. Just a horrible anime. This is the anime equivalent of Inception. It tries to disguise itself as being complex and cool when it's really simple and stupid. How it managed to fool so many people into believing it is former is beyond me. The story is a complete mess. Even the premise of the anime would not have ever happened had the so-called time travel expert followed the basic concepts learned from any time travel story. Let's just say that a lot of people said this review wasn't helpful.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's always going to be at least a couple haters, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like even Code Geass, like, I wonder what people wrote bad for that one. Well, it seems, I want to look up, because you saw Death Note, so I want to see what Death Note, what people said bad about that. 'Cause that's, so Death Note is rated #1 in popularity, right? But in overall reviews, yeah, it's on the site. Yeah, it's #1 in popularity. But the rankings are basically the review saying how good it is. So it's ranked number 44 in how good it is.
So it just happened to be popular.
Yeah, well, it's very, anything that's dubbed, English dubbed in the end, is because it's really popular, like Naruto, Bleach, all of them. So let me just...
for the listeners out there, assuming anyone ever checks this out, I'm kind of a filthy casual when it comes to a lot of things, anime being one of them. But there's definitely a few shows that are worth checking out too. Like I can nerd out on a lot of stuff, have a passing interest in a lot of stuff. But yeah, you know, anime is just one of those things where if it's good and it's easy to get at, I'll definitely check it out.
Oh, yeah,
definitely have a passing interest in a lot of random things, politics, science, you know, nerdy stuff, games, anime, so on and so forth.
Remember, what's his name from the guild who used to be in there, starts with an M, that said he got angry because we brought up politics and religion?
Yeah, Maratoa. Yeah, he would get... Yeah, dude, it's been a fun podcast to do because we've talked the entire time about games and anime, and we didn't even delve into politics or any of that deep stuff. But next time you come on, Knight, we got to get into some deep shit.
Oh shit, going to the deep Middle East problems.
Because we're coming up on 2.5 hours, so we should probably wrap it up before too long.
At this rate, we're going to be turning into 4-player podcasts, and we can't do that because they'd spend 6-hour podcasts.
I mean, if we got a full day to devote to it, why not? I'm gonna have you, if you're on YouTube and you have any friends that could give us some subs or some views, I need to hit you up for that.
Yeah, I don't do YouTube anymore. Streamed in a while on Twitch, but if I do start streaming again on Twitch, which might be an option because my friend wants to start up again, then I'll definitely do that. Yeah.
The YouTube actually does live streaming now, which it's actually much more intuitive and easier to use than Twitch, in my opinion.
The problem is I love Twitch, and all the famous streamers that I watch are using Twitch. If they transferred over to YouTube, I'd consider it.
Because I think OCD's blown up significantly more now that he's been doing live streams on YouTube, if I remember right. I'm not sure the details.
The only thing is that YouTube is harder to find people that are doing the game. I think that on Twitch, it's so easy to find it because you can just look it up by game, and you can see all the people that are playing the game. But on YouTube, it's kind of like, unless you're subscribed to them, it's really hard to find them, right?
That's a good point.
But I can I really want to see someone playing Vindictus right now, but I'm not, doing that. If you look up Vindictus on YouTube, you're going to be seeing a lot of pre-prepared videos, not people that are live streaming.
That reminds me, too. Last time, myself and a couple buddies were at our friend's apartment in Chicago, and we were just browsing around on Twitch, and we came across, there were people streaming Dungeons and Dragons with professional quality production. They were in Los Angeles, too, so it was like good-looking people, like actors and actresses, or like people who were just wanted to be in show business, doing professional production Dungeons and Dragons, and there were a lot of people watching.
Geeks and Sundry, do you know them?
That could have been them. I don't know.
It's Felicia Day is part of them. It's also the guy who does tabletop on YouTube, where every week he brings a new tabletop game, like a board game, and he plays it with famous people. It's how I learn about a lot of good board games. It's called he's the guy that was on Star Wars. I forget his name. He was in Big Bang Theory for a little bit too. Tabletop.
I see Geek and Sundry.
Will Wheaton. You remember Will Wheaton?
Will Wheaton was in Star Wars?
It's not Star Wars, Star Trek. He was in Star Trek for a little bit, and then he was also on Big Bang Theory. He does tabletop. So tabletop is a YouTube thing. where he basically every week or 2 weeks he brings 3 or 4 famous people and basically plays a board game with them. He teaches you the board game, like in a quick 5-minute tutorial, and then it's like a 45-minute to an hour-long episode of him playing it with his friends. And I think he played Resistance. He didn't play Avalon, he played Resistance in one of them too. Quite a few of the games I looked and I'm like, oh, that looks like fun, I'll get it, right? But it's part of Geeks and Sundry. Like Felicia Day, they're all friends or whatever. Geeks and Sundry and Tabletop, they're all part of the same type of thing.
Here's willwheaton.net. 50,000 monkeys at 50,000 typewriters can't be wrong.
But yeah, so on Twitch, Geeks and Sundry is the highest for Dungeons and Dragons. They do Dungeons and Dragons once a week on there, and they play it for like 12 hours, 8 hours or something, right? And on YouTube, I'm subscribed to them on YouTube as well, because on YouTube they post Dungeon Master tricks and everything as well. So that's one thing I like. So yeah, so I learned like a lot of tricks from them as well, and they have like professional D&D games, which is awesome. Like they're actually really into it, and it's not just, hey, we're just gonna play this and we don't know how to play it, so we're just gonna, do this. They actually like are really into it and they'll do like cool things and learn.
Oh yeah, no, this one we saw was professional too, so people were really into it because the people knew how to play.
It might have been the one that you're talking about, because it's the only one I know that's professionally done.
Definitely could have been. I mean, I only saw it that one time. I wasn't particularly inclined to go back and see it again. I just thought it was interesting that it exists and has a lot of viewers,
Yeah, if you're interested in starting D&D or something like that, then that's a good place to go, because you'll learn a lot. You'll see how the games run. It's not like, I don't want to play D&D because I don't know what to say and stuff. It's literally, you're playing. If you're played any video game ever and you've related to your character and you kind of like want to role play as your character, that's D&D. You make up a character that you want to role play and you do whatever the fuck you want. So that's literally the example of what it is. So you just have to be, you will not like D&D unless you don't. Like, you won't like it if you don't want to role play as a character.
And well, yeah, it seemed like the audience for this particular stream was people who already knew about D&D and they were just fans of the genre,
Yeah. Well, especially for if people want to watch it on Twitch and stuff like that. So it's gonna be a little bit that way. Like, I think I only knew about them originally, Geeks and Sundry, because I watched Tabletop, because I wanted to know more board games, and what better way to know if you want to play a board game than watching someone play it with famous people. So
yeah, and get the famous people's reaction, like, oh my god, we're doing what now?
Well, like it's nice knowing that people that you like watching, like for movies and stuff like that, playing nerdy board games, right?
Yeah, like, I can dig it for sure.
Like if you just found out like Vin Diesel is a regular D&D player, that makes it cooler.
I was going to tell you that earlier, if you knew, or ask you if you knew about that he was into D&D.
And the fact that he hates playing barbarians, he'll only play mages, so it's like weird because he's like a bit buff guy playing mages. Really? I didn't know that about him. Yeah, he was on live and he's like, they're like, what do you play? And they're like, oh, you're gonna probably be a tough warrior. And he's like, no, I love playing mages. I hate being in the center of combat. And it's like, oh my god. Well, never saw that one coming. Yeah. He's just a teddy bear. Just wants to be in the back. Well, hey, Knightmares, thanks for joining us, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Perelli, and we'll do it again soon. If there's any positive response, I'll try to at least do an episode a week, or something to that nature. Sounds good.